Hey everybody, welcome to the Central Committee stream with your host Mike from PA. How are you guys doing today? Wow, what do we have here? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How are you all doing live? It is March 24th, 2025. Morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Well, what a weekend. What a weekend. Speed was in China last night. It has 3.8 million views on the VOD. Do we have any cool clips? Ethan Klein making death threats. As more Palestinian journalists are murdered by Israel, Ethan Klein is like, you should go to Gaza. He knows, like every other Israeli knows, Gazans are being bombed indiscriminately. Like he just knows it is what it is. They're not confused. Muta's just a dumb fuck. Okay, Muta doesn't know his dick from a thimble, and you probably would have a trouble telling the difference either if you saw him. But the reality is that it's starting to get creepy. I think, ladies and gentlemen, the go to Gaza death threat, because it's impossible to go to Gaza now. If you're a Westerner, it's impossible to go to Gaza. They just simply do not allow it. And they hold all entry into Gaza. It's been blockaded for the better part of a decade, and that's just the reality. We also have Bernie Sanders versus the mainstream media. People taking Bernie Sanders out of context to say that he was saying that he agrees with Trump's immigration policies, which is not what he said. I think there is this kind of urge right now for a lot of people to give themselves permission to not fight by declaring themselves to be lefter than thou. Like, that is actually what's happening here. A lot of people are saying, look how brave I am by staying on my phone in my home. Like, that is the new reality, right? And I have a lot of criticisms of AOC and Bernie Sanders. I have a lot of criticisms of them. But right now, I think there is a desperation among liberals for somebody who will fight back against Trump. And the choices that we are going to have are Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, Zionist extremists, or AOC and Bernie Sanders, who are at least skeptical of the United States' status quo with Israel. That's pretty much our choices. And if you're like, well, we should make a new choice. Okay, what's the new choice? Show me. Part of the thing about being a leftist, and this is the thing that you need to learn from the most. If you learn anything from me, this is the thing you need to know, which is you need to be where the masses are, not stand where you think the masses should be. I'm not saying you tail them. I'm not saying you believe the dumb shit they believe. But if you're standing over here going, you guys should be over here, or else you're not left, okay, then they won't be left. Congratulations, you figured it out. When the Bolsheviks won the Russian Revolution, how did they win? They had a slogan: peace, land, bread. It wasn't dialectical materialism, dictatorship of the proletariat. Like yes, that was in their theoretical writing. That was what the vanguard understood and believed as the most advanced members of the class. But when they were talking to regular, everyday Russian members of the Russian Empire, they said peace, land, bread. Why? Why peace? Because they were fighting a horrible war against Germany in World War I, and millions were killed for incomprehensible imperialist reasons. So peace. That was what people wanted. They wanted to stop sending their sons to die. Land, because there were the Russian peasant was unable to support themselves due to the extractive rents that they were forced to pay, and large landholders. And bread, pretty simple. Everyone has the right to food and sustenance. So the message was where the people were. And I think this is the kind of problem that we have today, which is like, I'm not impressed if you think you've got things figured out. That doesn't impress me. What impresses me is when you are actively and successfully attacking the status quo in such a way as to actually enact some sort of left-wing program. That impresses me. You being right on your Twitter account does not impress me. And what I'm trying to say here is, we don't have a democratically agreed to platform. We don't have a workers' party. We don't. So your pronouncements about X, Y, and Z policy by the government of the United States of America is not correct, because because it's just your musings. Maybe I even agree with them, but don't try to pretend that this is anything but liberalism. Like, you're not representing a collective. You are not the democratically agreed upon party line. You are a guy posting. And I, quite frankly, don't give a shit how good you post. I want to see what you do. Zoran is getting the most money possible in the New York City mayor's race. I know, it's awesome. And I think that, like, part of what makes Bernie Sanders so popular is that he doesn't care about your sacred cow. And neither do I. Neither do I. I really don't. I've been volunteering for Zoran's campaign. Would you like me to see if I can get you in contact with the comms team? I mean, sure you can if you want, but pretty sure I could. Adam Panada said F Bernie. That's fine. That's what I like Adam Panada for. He is a foreign criticizer of American politics. You know, like a foreign criticizer of American politics should say fuck Bernie. That's fine. He should be skeptical of Bernie. But he lives in Argentina, and they have probably the worst government in the entire world, at least up there. You know, it's like, it's a case of the log in your own eye. You know what I mean? That being said, I don't think his criticisms of AOC and Bernie are wrong. It's just not helpful. Like, that's the other thing. The criticisms about Bernie and AOC having bad takes are not necessarily wrong. But the problem is, and then what? And then what? Hassan said Zoran wanted to be on stream. Hassan said, hold on, he's going to fly out to NYC to promote him. Hell yeah, brother. How does Bada Panada expect people to fight Bernie? He doesn't. He doesn't. When you're a content creator, there's certain ways that you can make people like you. And a good content creator is aware of them. Now, I don't want you people to be idiots. That's the thing that makes me feel good. When my chatters say shit or analyze something really well in the chat before I even give them the answer, that's when I'm like, hell yeah. I feel like that's what gives me the most dopamine. That's what gets me the happiest. When it's like, oh, my chatters are saying smart shit before I even tell them what to think. This is great. I've taught them to think critically. I've given them the tools to analyze situations. They're studying on their own. This is awesome. When my chatters are smart people, that's what I get the most dopamine. However, it doesn't give you the most dopamine, and that's what makes me money. And one of the ways to get you guys to like me is if I give you a perspective that you've never considered before, and you get that feeling of realization, a perspective shift. And that is a very powerful feeling to get. And so you've probably already had them before. That's why you're here, right? You've had those powerful perspective shifts, whether it be like toward Bernie Sanders or, you know, against the regular liberalism or the conservatism of your youth, or who knows what. Maybe you used to hold bigoted views and now you don't. You had that perspective shift and you probably attribute it to somebody. And if you do, you probably like that person because they helped you grow and change. And I think the one thing about being a content creator is there are things that I could tell you that are absolutely true and get you to feel like a certain perspective shift, but it's ultimately futile and pointless, right? Like, you should if you've watched my stream long enough, you should probably understand that I think that Bernie Sanders and AOC are at most temporary allies. But I don't shoot at my allies, right? Like, they're my temporary allies. I don't shoot at my allies. And why are they my temporary allies? I've talked about this many, many, many times. The answer is because that's how people think. People don't think about politics against some sort of ideal political framework that they like. They don't even have a political framework. They don't even have an ideology. At most, what people have is maybe they've heard a policy or an idea or a speech that they like. They feel some sort of emotional connection to it. And then there are individuals who they trust, who are avatars of those ideas, avatars of a program, right? This is how people think. Like, when we think of the New Deal, you don't think of a long list of policies. You think of FDR the man. When you think of the Emancipation Proclamation, you don't think of the millions of Americans who worked at abolition and fought in the Civil War. You think of Abraham Lincoln. Hell, when you think about the Russian Revolution or the Chinese Revolution, you don't think of the millions of Russians and Chinese and members of the Russian Empire and the millions of sailors and soldiers that mutinied. You think of Lenin and Mao. Now, obviously, Lenin, Mao, Abraham Lincoln, whatever the fuck, they are not the ones who did the thing, but they stand in for the thing. And whether you like the thing or not depends on your opinion of those guys. So that's kind of the point we're at, where it's like Bernie Sanders, AOC are temporary allies, especially for Americans, right? They have very problematic beliefs, but they also they represent a lot of positive space for the left to thrive. And as I've said many, many times, revolution doesn't happen during right-wing repression and fascism. Revolution happens during periods of frustrated reform. And so setting up Bernie and AOC or whoever else on the so-called left, they're more likely the center left, to go into office, there'll be one of two outcomes. They will achieve a swath of concessions which will materially improve your life, or two, they will fail because they will be blocked by anti-democratic capitalist forces, and that'll piss us all off. So either we get one small W or one big W. Either way, that's a W. That's kind of my perspective. Also, the United States of America doesn't need to be anti-Israel. The United States of America needs to simply be neutral towards Israel, and Israel will collapse. I'll say that one more time so you can all hear me. The United States of America doesn't need to be anti-Israel. The United States of America just needs to treat Israel like any other country, and it'll be fucking over. And so, if you're expecting Bernie and AOC to go out there and be like, we need to destroy Israel, like, you're an idiot. And Americans are not ready for that anyway. Some of us are. And when we say destroy Israel, we don't mean just end the people of Israel. We want the people of Israel to live safe, healthy, democratic lives in the state of Palestine, where they will be given freedom of conscience. They will be given equal rights. Their religious practice will be protected. Their physical bodies, their civil rights protected. They will just be simply equal members of the Palestinian state. They will have the right to vote. Maybe there will be a special immigration law to encourage the return of Palestinian refugees from countries around the world. Maybe there'll be an immigration law so that people of Jewish descent can immigrate. I don't know what the fucking final political settlement would be. That's not my job. I'm not Palestinian, right? But we could easily imagine a free, prosperous, democratic state taking the place of this ruthless ethno-state propped up by hundreds of billions of dollars from the U.S. And this is the reality. I sincerely still have no clue what Bernie and AOC are trying to do. Are they planning to break for the Dems, change the Dems? The answer, why don't we talk about that in a sec? Let's talk about that next. What I'm trying to say is, if Bernie Sanders is like, oh, it's good to crack down on fentanyl, or nobody thinks illegal immigration is a good idea, who gives a shit? That's literally what he's always said. That's an idiotic point. You're making an idiotic point. No one fucking cares. And here's the other thing about immigration in and of itself. If you think that the solution to the United States' issues is, well, we should just open the border and allow anyone to come in here with no controls whatsoever, you're a fucking idiot. Whenever a population of human beings is traveling from one part of the world to another, you should and you ought to ensure that it's being done safely. Like, that's just basic fucking reality. Like, come on. I don't think Bernie Sanders never endorse Donald Trump's mass deportations, Donald Trump's private prisons, or any of that. And if you think he did, you're a fucking idiot. All right, let's keep going. You welcome them. Immigration is good. Oh, I agree with that. However, I also think that there's a certain capacity that you have within your government, within your hospital system, within your education system, right? You cannot provide robust social services above a certain level before you build the infrastructure. Right now, the United States' infrastructure is lacking in all those areas. If you import 100 million more kids, there's no room in the classrooms. There's no room in the hospitals. There's no apartments for them. Like, this is just You need to have, you have a certain capacity, you have a certain ability to expand. And that should be acknowledged as well. Like, come on. And the other thing is, a lot of these people are not coming here because they want to be here. They're coming here because we are sanctioning Venezuela. Bernie Sanders is opposed. We are sanctioning Cuba. Bernie Sanders is opposed. We're interfering with Honduras. Bernie Sanders is opposed. We did Lava Jato on Brazil. Bernie Sanders is like, you're the one of the main problems that we have with the mass immigration thing is people don't want to. The United States is not that great. Okay, people don't want to move here. They'd rather stay in their communities with their families, with the culture and the social mores that they are used to and they understand. They would rather stay there. If the United States just simply stopped interfering and fucking up other countries, then people would not be flowing here. All right, let's keep going.
Shit. Shit. What the? What the fuck? Oh shit. Oh, okay. Hey, oh, okay. Wait, it's more. What the hell is he saying? What the fuck? Hey. Oh, hell no.
I Show Speed getting a Kung Fu demonstration that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what comes out of that I Show Speed visit.
Inside your jersey or on the TV, dear, the projects count me in. There's a story of a hooper who took his talents out of that grand. He's the king, he's the one who gets us loud and proud, and he steals all of our hearts as he stands proudly with his crown.
I don't like anything from Cleveland, if I'm being honest. Oh, look at the shirt.
Come on, man. You're short, buddy.
Oh my god. Skyline chili is better than any food PA has created. I knew you were Ohioan. I knew you weren't really from California.
Just talk about how dog shit Skyline chili is. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck the Bengals. Fuck Joe Burrow. Fuck Skyline chili. Suck my dick, you fucking animals. I don't fucking care. Fuck you guys. That shit sucks dick.
Do you think that Stavy is somebody who would turn his nose up to chili if it was any good? I don't even need to say it. He's from Baltimore, okay? And he thinks your chili sucks. Kat is running for Congress.
Trump and Elon Musk are dismantling our country piece by piece. And so many Democrats seem content to just sit back and let them. So I say it's time to drop the excuses and grow a fucking spine. I'm Kat Abou-Ghazaleh, and I'm running for Congress in Illinois' 9th District. Unfortunately, this party has become one where you have to look to the exceptions for real leadership, as the majority work from an outdated playbook. We need a makeover, which means we need a vision that's bigger than what we've been told is possible. There is absolutely no reason you shouldn't be able to afford housing, groceries, and healthcare with some money left over. Families should have free childcare, Social Security should be expanded, and our inalienable rights shouldn't be dependent on who's in power. That means standing up to authoritarians, not shrinking away when the fight gets tough. And while current Democratic leadership might be fine cowering to Trump, I'm not. I've spent my entire career reporting on the far right and being attacked by them as a result. In fact, just a few months ago, Elon Musk's lawyers deposed me here in Chicago to ask about my mean tweets. Look, I thought comedy was legal again. This is all to say, I'm not scared of standing up to these people. I know how they think, and I know how to beat them. But my campaign itself is going to be different too, because I don't want to wait a year to help people. We're focused on meeting constituent needs with one simple rule. What if we didn't suck? My campaign and I would rather spend our money on book drives and clothing exchanges and public events than fancy fundraisers for rich donors. I also want my campaign to be as transparent as possible. That's why I'll be posting regular videos about the costs and steps of running for office. We all deserve better. We deserve human rights and financial freedom and a party that stands up to authoritarians. We deserve to thrive, not just survive. And I plan to fight for those ideals both on the campaign trail and in Congress. If you want to know more about me and what I believe, you can go to catforillinois.com. I do need to mention that campaigns cost money and ask you to contribute what you can. But I promise your donation will not be wasted on old, ineffective tactics. No spammy guilt trip texts, no focus groups to test my views, and no grifty consultants who care more about their paycheck than actually winning. It's time to challenge the status quo, and if our leaders won't do it, we will. I'm Kat Abou-Ghazaleh, and I'm running for Congress because it's time for Democrats to do more.
I think a lot of that is good. You know, Kafia in the background. I mean, Kat's Lebanese, right? I believe, or is she Palestinian? What is she? I thought she was of Arab descent. Her dad is Palestinian. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. My feeling is okay. I wanna know more. I'm not gonna bust her up yet because it's literally March. This is of 2025, so this is a very early announcement. Typically you wouldn't announce for at least another 4 or 5 months. So this is a very, very early announcement. So it's hard for me to expect anything super well thought out. The thing about me is I am not somebody who's just going to tell you things are great and dandy when they're not, you know, like that's how I am. Right. And I'd love to be able to support her. So I just want to see the like local connections, the campaign, you know, is it focused towards social media and getting the attention of people like myself, or is it focused on actually winning? You know what I get? Like, I don't want to help people grow their YouTube channel, right? I want them to win. And so I need to be able to see that, right? It's not that I don't think she's cool or I don't think she has a good shot. I'm not saying any of that. I think she might actually. But I need to see more before I like go, you know, gaga for it. That being said, that's pretty exciting.
Donald Trump and Elon.
And we'll see. She kind of always struck me as a little bit more right wing than Bernie. Like in like watching her content, she always tended to, at least from my reading of her personality, she always seemed more of like an Ayanna Pressley type than she did like a Bernie Sanders or an AOC.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk are
Okay, so it doesn't look okay. So she doesn't say free college in her education section. Okay, so she does talk about a wealth tax and raising the minimum wage, but she doesn't say to what. Okay, she endorses the Green New Deal. Okay, she says ongoing attacks on Gaza, permanent ceasefire that sets the stage for peace. Okay, I was right in my judgment. I think she would be one of the better Congress people for sure, but again, she didn't say genocide there. At least I missed it, unless I missed it. Maybe she did in the past, but all right, what were we saying? Okay, seems like she might be interested. Like I'm not trying to like shit on her or anything. I'm just being honest, you know, which is what you expect, I hope.
I'm about to say something to you you've never heard a politician say. Please stop sending us money. Thanks to the close to 18,000 of you that have donated to our campaign, we've now raised the maximum amount of money we can spend in this race, $8 million. This means we have the money to be on TV, in your mailbox, on your phone. But there's one more place we need to be, your block. That's why I'm putting out the call to New Yorkers. Assemble! We want to create the single largest volunteer operation in New York City history, and we need your help. So join the more than 7,000 New Yorkers already knocking on doors and sign up to Canvas at ZahranforNYC.com/events.
I'm old enough to remember Joshua for Congress and how popular he was on Twitter, and then months into his campaign, he was asked by Mike how many doors he's knocked, and it was less than a state Senate campaign I was an organizer for, covered in a single Saturday. Yeah, he was fucking loser. That was very funny. But, you know, I think Kat is a serious candidate. And I'd be interested in supporting her, but she's also, you know, she's not as left wing as me. What do you want me to say? Like, she is? You want me to lie? I'm you know, it's just as simple as that. You know, she would be far better than 99% of Democrats. So, okay. The thing about me is I could support. This is what separates me from most, from 99.999% of you, right? I could support someone even though I don't like them. I could support someone even if I don't agree with them. I don't have to have an emotional thing going for me to support someone. A lot of people, and this is the weakness of the left in America today. This is a weakness, is that people will we get led by our hearts, not our heads. And I'm not that guy. I am critical of people I support to get called a Fed. Well, there's also another side of it, right? Do you see how I'm criticizing her? Which is I'm taking note of the things where I think she's hedging and being a little bit weak. And I'm saying, interesting. And it's not that it makes me hate her. It just makes me rate her lower, you know? And then I go, okay, she's far better than the alternative. She's not crossing any of my red lines, right? So I think of politics in this way. It's like everybody kind of gets graded on a curve, but then there are certain automatic fails, right? Being a big Zionist is an automatic fail. Being, supporting the American blockade of China is a huge fail. I didn't see her, shitting herself over China, and I saw her talking about how, taking positions contrary to APAC. That's pretty good. Is she getting an A++? No. But she was, her foreign policy at least wasn't offensively bad, which for me is shocking. So I think she seems cool.
What's his name?
Shangyi.
Shangyi. W. Shangyi.
Oh, that's so great. Zoran is doing so well not just because he's charismatic, but because he first won a seat in the New York Assembly and developed a base as a local politician. Strong evidence in support of the DSA cadre program. I completely agree with this. However, and here's my problem. Here's the problem. I feel like DSA is a little bit too soft-headed in the sense that politicians will use DSA, but don't feel beholden to DSA. And I want more people to feel beholden to DSA. And part of this is there's not enough members of DSA. But that's pretty exciting.
Musk are dismissed a few months ago.
I'm giving her the retweets, chat. I'm going to support, but has she said genocide? I wonder. Now that she's... oh, okay. She's cool as fuck. Never mind. She's cool as fuck. Okay. She's cool as fuck. I get not voting for Harris because of this genocide but do not waste a whole vote on grifters who would gladly throw the queer community under the bus for a scrap of power. I agree with that. I will when Israel stops doing a genocide. Okay, that's pretty good. Can you watch your I'm running video and criticize it with the same level of smoke you have for Cat? My I'm running video in 2013? In 2013? Let's just say that my political development and the country's political development was a little bit different in 2013. We've actually watched some of my campaign stuff on the stream before. Back in 2020, 2019. We already did that. We've already done that before. All right. Let's move on. What did I want to talk about today? Oh, okay. Let's get going. Ugh. Bernie Sanders got mad. If you're so new to on the follow, how can you know about Mike running for office? Yeah. Very funny. I really don't like Brian Tyler Cohen. That guy fucking sucks. New Andor trailer dropped.
I came with you to be part of something.
Such a grifter, dude.
The Empire cannot win. It's a different kind of mission. If it goes up in flames, it will burn very brightly.
But if I'm giving up everything, I want to win. We have to. We must stand together. We will be crushed.
Resistance is absurd.
It's a weapon. They're building a weapon. The monster will come for us all.
Revolution is not for the saying. You're right here, and you're ready to fight. There's a future here for those who dare.
Welcome to the rebellion.
I hope it's good. I hope it's good. Looks pretty fun. just looking at what video I want to play of the Bernie Sanders thing, and I'm like, try to avoid grifter videos.
I want you to look at every level of office around you and support Democrats who actually fight, because those are the ones that can win against Republicans.
I would not be telling you the truth if I didn't tell you that within the Democratic Party, there are billionaires who have undue influence. Democrats have turned their backs on the working class of this country.
That was Senator Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez drawing more than 30,000 supporters in Denver on Friday.
By the way, chat, by the way, that argument that the left is the only people that will actually fight the right has been the strategy that I've been trying to get them to pursue for literally 9 years. I've been trying to get people to be like, these centrist Democrats love Republicans. If you hate Republicans, you need to vote for us. That has always been I've been trying to get people to do that strategy for years and years and years and years and years. And here's my issue. Is I don't even really understand the strategy that people are pretending to pursue here, right? Which is like, we're going to run as independents, which means we're going to be running, let's say we're in an average district, right? If you run as an independent, it'll have one of two outcomes. Either you're in a district that's so left wing that the Republicans are just can't win, which is very, very few districts if you split the vote two ways, right? Like if you're splitting the vote 30-30-30, then, the places Republicans could win on a first past the post basis massively increases, right? So that's the first concern, right? Which is, okay, you want to run as an independent, and the Democrats are not going to give it up to you in seats like that, right? They're going to run to the end. And so you're going to be fighting Democrats as well as Republicans already, right? But you're going to be doing it as an independent with no backup? Or you're in districts where the Democrats have to stand down because they have no chance anyway. Okay, if there's a lot of districts where you could win, but the Democrats stand down because they have no chance to win, why the fuck are you running as an independent and not as a third party? If your ideas are popular, but the Democratic brand is shit, why the fuck aren't you running as a third party anyway? Why aren't you? And by the way, it's not third party. It's new biggest party. Okay? Third party implies you're a loser. We want to make the Democrat a third party. Like, that's what we want to do. We don't want a third party. We want to make the Democrats into the third party. And I think this is my problem with Bernie and AOC in general. Like, my biggest criticism of them is the idea of, people can just run and we'll see who wins. That's not how they do it on the other side. That's not how the centrists do it. The centrists don't go, well, we'll just see who wins and we'll very selectively support people. No, they say, are you an ideological neoliberal? Are you a big law member? Are you an oil and gas executive? Are you CIA? Here's millions of dollars. We'll do fundraisers for you. Do you hate abortion? We'll do fundraisers for you. Are you anti-trans? We'll do fundraisers for you. That's how the centrist Democrats operate. They don't sit back and go, well, we'll figure it out. Corrupt corporate Dems are the handmaids of the right. This is why the left must primary more sitting Democrats. September 17th, 2019. Yeah, I've been trying to get people to use this argument for a very, very long time, which is, if you hate the Republicans, you can't vote for centrist Democrats. Fundamentally, I just don't have any faith in the Democratic Party as an organization to be good faith. So I don't have faith that they'll be good faith. Not very well written, but you get my point. Basically, let's assume the Democrats do win a bunch of primaries, right? The left. The Democratic Party is not represented by the person you agree with the most who's a member of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party's policies are the policies of the most right-wing Democrat in the Senate. So many people like to look at the Democratic Party and see Bernie Sanders' proposals and go like, oh, look how left-wing the Democrats are. No, it's not. The Democrats' party's policies are the policies of Joe Manchin, John Fetterman, Kyrsten Sinema. Those are our policies. It's not the policies of Bernie Sanders. It's not the policies of AOC. It's not the policy of the Progressive Caucus. It is the policy of the most right-wing Democrat. the one who gets you over the hump. And in my opinion, that's not worth fighting for. And I think the Democratic Party would be stronger without those people in it. And this is fundamentally this is the point of disagreement. Either you believe that if the Democratic Party was a progressive party that could deliver real material change for people in their actual lives, right? That would make them more popular. That's my opinion, right? If a charismatic leader deployed real material change and made people's lives better, the Democratic Party would be more popular than it is today. That is my political belief. Why do I believe that? American history, FDR, LBJ's landslide, various other examples throughout our history of when you go big, you win big. As far as contemporary examples, I look to Mexico with Morena basically breaking the two-party system there. It was really a 1.5 party system and completely annihilating the standard corporate parties and now has an 80-something% approval rating after 6.5 years in power of delivering for everyday Mexicans. So I see it happening there. And so my political beliefs are premised on the idea that when you do good shit, people will like you more. And people who don't now think of themselves as even entertaining voting for a politician would love that politician. This is my point. And so getting rid of people like Joe Manchin, getting rid of people like John Fetterman, getting rid of people like Kirsten Sinema, getting rid of people like Elise Slotkin, that doesn't make the Democrats weaker. It makes them stronger. And this is the fundamental disagreement. Either you believe that to be true or you don't. If you think that's wrong, if you think we need Manchin and we need Sinema, or else the Republicans would be winning even more, then you don't agree with me and we never will agree. We'll never agree. If you think the people cannot be fundamentally changed, politics is roughly where it is now and it's going to remain where it is now, and we're going to be balancing on a knife edge forever, if that's what you think, then you won't agree with me. And I got to tell you, you're dumb because you haven't read a fucking book and you don't even know what this country is like in your own lifetime. There's no evidence for your completely cockamamie belief other than status quo bias.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
After the rally about whether the Democratic Party can do anything to slow President Trump's agenda.
Bernie is back.
Hey, Mr. Trump, people fought and died to create a democratic society. You're not going to take it away from us.
83-year-old independent Senator Bernie Sanders is drawing crowds even bigger than he did as a presidential candidate.
Feeling the burn.
Yeah.
For the past...
Well, I mean, part of the reason why he's drawing more people is because he's not running for president, right? And so this is coming out of left field. This is what you guys don't get. I think a lot of people have been asking, what is the point of this? And I want to explain to you what the point is. The point is, one, to show that people are resisting Trump, that they don't agree with what Trump is doing, number one, which is incredibly important. Because if you don't show a bunch of people saying they don't agree with it, then there's going to be more compliance and more surrender. So just from the point of view of, the conversation of whether what Trump is doing is popular or not, this is incredibly important for that. Number two, the establishment doesn't expect it, right? The establishment is getting fucking blindsided because it's not a presidential cycle, right? And they only do rallies when they can get something from you. Bernie Sanders going around and doing rallies is something that they don't expect. The third thing is he's changing the conversation. Who are the people that are actually fighting Trump? Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are saying, we're too weak. We can't fight back. There's nothing we can do. Oh, no. Oh, guess we have to pass all your policies. Oh, bleh. Bernie Sanders is saying we can fight back. And so the rank and file Democrat, it has a choice. Bernie Sanders hates Trump and is fighting Trump, or Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are enabling Trump. And so this creates a situation where Bernie and the people who align with him are more popular among the base. And that sets us up in the future. And then finally, hopefully, and I hope they get better at this, organizing people into local organizations. Now, if you have a DSA chapter, if you have a PSL chapter, and you are not going out there to organize people, and I want you to understand something, chat. The strategy to organize should not be Bernie Sanders is a sellout. We're the real people. We're the real resistors. If that's your strategy, you're a fucking idiot. You should be going out there and saying, we are the people in the community that are doing shit to fight back and pressure our representatives and pressure our politicians and pressure our systems here. So if you want to fight back, join us. That should be using your that's the opportunity. You're getting all these people right. I'll give you an analogy to as a Twitch streamer. Let's say I have the opportunity to go on Hassan's stream, or I have the opportunity to go on Asmongold's stream. Which stream? And then when I go on the streams, I have two strategies. On the Asmongold stream, I can kiss Asmongold's ass, or I could be confrontational with Asmongold. Similarly with Hassan, I could go on Hassan's stream and be confrontational with Hassan, or I could kiss Hassan's ass. Which is going to result in more people coming over to my stream in the future? The answer is, if I'm going up against Asmongold, confrontational. If I'm going on Hassan's stream, ass kissing. Why? Because the Hassan viewers agree with me on 99% of things. So if I go and am confrontational with Hassan, I'm going to be repulsing people who are mostly aligned with me, that mostly are on my side, who I could persuade with gentle persuasion. I don't need to do a lot of movement. You're almost there. So so you're listening to what I'm saying, right? You're open to me. If I go on Asmongold's stream and I kiss his ass, then he disagrees with me on everything. So everybody who already agrees with me is going to be disgusted by how much of a fucking bootlicking piece of shit I am, right? And all of his people none of them are going to come over to me because they don't agree with me on anything. They come over and hear me talking on my own, they're immediately going to be repulsed. But if I go there and confront him, then the persuadable people in the audience are going to be like, oh, this guy has a different perspective. And some of them are going to listen to the argument. Many of them won't. But it's not just me fighting Asmongold and his viewers coming to watch me. Other people would watch me confronting Asmongold, and they would come along to me. So basically what I'm trying to say is, at the Bernie Sanders rally, the strategy that you should be pursuing is not to attack Bernie, not to attack AOC, but to be Bernie Sanders plus, AOC plus, because that's where the people who are showing up to a Bernie Sanders rally are. And then later you could talk about problems that you have with Bernie Sanders and AOC once you've established trust and once you've established good faith. And you can be like, AOC and Bernie Sanders are wrong about X, Y, and Z, but we're showing solidarity on X, Y, and Z. It's a very, very simple point. You go and you operate according to a strategy that is going to bring the masses to you, not separate yourself from the masses and put yourself on some sort of pedestal of enlightenment. Who gives a fuck? So you're saying Jenks and Newsom's tactics are the wrong approach? Exactly. And it's being proven experimentally right? Like, you can see it. Like, Gavin Newsom's approval rating is crashing among Democrats. It's not going up among Republicans. They don't respect that guy. It's just crashing among Democrats because he's kissing the ass of fucking enemies. Fight your enemies and hug your friends. And here's the thing about Bernie and AOC. I think a lot of people don't the number one criticism I get is that Mike is a sock dem who likes Bernie and AOC. And it's very funny because it couldn't be farther from the truth. It couldn't be farther from the truth. The answer is, I am hiding my power level and going where the masses are to convert as many people as I can to a worldview that they would never otherwise consider, but for the entree that Bernie Sanders and AOC give me. I'm doing the strategies that other political ideologies have done very well, which is create a pipeline. Don't punch left. I only punch right. And the normal, everyday, average person, in their mind, and if you disagree with this, you are fucking wrong. All right, this is the most important point. This is the disagreement I have with people like Adam Panada. For the average everyday person, Bernie Sanders and AOC are the left. I'll say that again. For the average everyday American, Bernie Sanders and AOC are the left. That's it. Isn't punching anarchists punching left? No, anarchists are just liberals. And so I know that they're not. AOC and Bernie Sanders are not the left. They're the center. They're centrists, but they're the actual centrists. They are the actual centrists. They are the people that we should be arresting in our new utopian society as being reactionary. That's my goal. My goal for my politics is to make Bernie and Sanders and AOC seem like right-wingers. But you don't do that by isolating yourself off in some sort of academic bubble and social bubble. You say, okay, what are people excited about when they watch Bernie Sanders and AOC? Are they excited about supporting, some sort of mush-mouthed, like, liberal Zionism? Are they excited about Like, what are they excited about? What are they talking about? They're talking about peaceful foreign policy. They're excited about expanding the social safety net. They're excited about a Green New Deal. And the Green New Deal, by the way, just in case you didn't know this, if you're a fucking dumbass, has a foreign policy aspect of giving a lot of money to developing countries to help them develop without using, not doing it in a USAID, we're going to replace your government way, but rather to help them get out from under American and European neo-colonialism. It's part of the Green New Deal. It's a 21st century good neighbor policy. And so, like, if you don't agree with me on this, you're just out of touch. I don't know what else to say. Like, the average everyday person doesn't know what PSL is. The average everyday leftist doesn't know what PSL is. And it's not because they're wrong about shit. Actually, I think a lot of the people that are cranky lefties are mostly right about things. The problem is not that you're right. The problem is that you don't have the masses. And I don't think shitting on Bernie and AOC is going to achieve you the masses support that you think it is. If anything, it's going to disempower and deorganize people. And that's the opposite of what I want to do. I want to build up. And it's the same thing. I mean, Lenin talks about this. It's like a lot of ultras are like, oh no, trade unions are reactionary. And it's like, that's where the masses are, dummy. That's why you're helping people gain class consciousness. That's why you're giving people collective economic power, you dumbass. It doesn't matter if they have reactionary tendencies. It doesn't matter if trade union consciousness is the peak of what they're going to naturally develop. You're right. And it's still worth gaining. But Bernie and company are also betraying the masses by not guiding them to any real organization. Of course they are. And soldiers are imperialists. Soldiers are just men and women with military skills. That's all a soldier is. Do you want to have people with military skills on your side in a civil war? Yes or no? Imperialists are the ones who order the soldiers to do imperialism, not the soldier. The soldier's a guy. And yeah, a lot of soldiers commit horrifying crimes that are not good people. Who gives, like, what's your point? So fucking what? Are you here to do some sort of like Christian penance? Is that what you want me to tell you is a good idea? Here's what we need. We need a lot of people who know how to do L-shaped ambushes on our side. That's what we need. There's a reason why the Russian Revolution and the Chinese Revolution won. They had military skills on their side. Now, it doesn't mean that joining the military is good and that you're doing good things and that nothing is wrong. No, a lot of people in the military did horrifyingly evil shit in the name of the United States of America, the imperialist power. Yeah, no shit. And the same was true of military members who fought for the, for the Russians and for the Chinese nationalists. What I'm trying to say is you go where the masses are, but you also try to maintain your leftist character. And it's a difficult balancing act. AOC and Bernie are priming people to fight. It's our job to go out there and organize and harvest those people to fight. Exactly. Bernie Sanders is, if you're a left winger right now, what Bernie Sanders and AOC are doing for you is a goddamn gift. If you can't see that, you're dumber than dirt. They're going around and concentrating the most like-minded people in one place that for you to go and talk to. They're making it easier than ever. This is the most fertile ground for radicalization that you're ever going to see in your entire fucking life. And you're criticizing it? Get off your ass and do something, you dumb fuck. Like, that is the reality. Some of us actually signed up because we cared about our fellow man. I didn't know what socialism. I mean, listen, I don't care why somebody joined the military, unless it was to like kill people like a psychopath. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I just know that in war is fought by people who know how to fight it. And when you say we don't want anybody with military skills on our side, you are begging to be killed. And the other thing is you're stupid because if you look at Americans, they like soldiers. They trust our military members. So if military members are completely alienated from your side, you're missing out on an opportunity, which is you should take disillusioned people from the military who come out and say, what they're making us fight for is wrong. I went out to that battlefield and they committed crimes and I regret it. And these people are bad. That is an important, persuasive position to have on your side. Because I don't give a shit about the past. I care about the future. Now, there are limits to that, but that should be your orientation. Because if we were just like, okay, only perfect people could join our movement, then you're gonna have nobody. Malta 1, thank you for the 5 tier 1s. That's just, and if you study history, winning movements are the ones who are converting people, are converting their enemies to allies. You want to win?
This month, Sanders has taken his fight against President Donald Trump on the road. He's billing it the Fighting Oligarchy Tour.
We will not allow America to become an oligarchy.
In Denver, the anti-Trump sentiment was strong.
Oh, I think it's a disaster. And he talks about he has a mandate. He never had a mandate.
But so was the frustration with Democrats.
How's the Democratic Party doing challenging this?
They got to be a little tougher.
Quit being a bunch of doormats.
It feels like we're left stranded when everything feels like it's crumbling.
Tour's Western swing.
Thank you. Okay, so these are normal people. These are people who are libs. They don't know what the fuck is going on. They're not leftists. They're wine moms. This is how I know somebody's not in their community. If you don't have and organized a bunch of women that look exactly like this, then you're not in touch with your community. Because here's the dirty little secret, you fucking internet gremlins. Women like this are the ones that are holding up every fucking mutual aid organization that you can come up with. So I know somebody is fake as fuck if they're like, who cares about wine moms? It's like, what? Well, then you do nothing then. You literally do nothing. I know that 100% off the bat.
A bunch of doormats.
It feels like we're
Stop being a bunch of doormats.
left stranded when everything
Being
feels
left
like
stranded.
it's crumbling.
Tour's Western swing, Sanders was joined by New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
It seems pretty clear to me, by the way, that Bernie Sanders is setting up AOC as his protege or his, you know, and you may not like that. And I understand why people don't like her. I get it. I think she's got bad advisors / bad instincts on a lot of shit. And I think it's because she's online too much. I think it's because she's online a little bit too much, a little bit too unfiltered. And I realized something about myself a long time ago is that I'm built different. But I shouldn't expect other people to be built the way that I'm built, which is when you start getting a lot of like negative feedback from a certain group, it is a natural human reaction to kind of like move away from that group. And a lot of people have a hard time accepting that that's just a completely natural organism's behavior. That's just like a biological imperative, basically. If you're getting a lot of pain from a direction, you move away from that. And so I'm not blaming the online left for her being shitty. I'm just saying that she doesn't have she acts in expected ways. Okay. And that I think is bad for her because I think a lot of the criticism that she gets is actually valid, but presented in a very unpersuasive manner. So it's like, I'm Larry David going like this the whole time. Well-meaning white folk were the main financial backing to the Black Panthers free breakfast program, make an effort to have wide appeal program. I mean, like, first of all, like, I'm definitely much more, I don't believe in racial nationalist movements as liberatory. That's just my personal opinion. Now, that being said, I know what black nationalism actually means. I'm not Vouch. I know what it is. Okay? I support Black Panthers. I'm not a Vouch. I'm not a white dummy like Vouch. I'm just a white dummy in other areas. Okay? That being said, I really am an old school Marxist. The division in our society and the expression of power is based on class. Now, in America, and this is a very important corollary, in America, the color of your skin attaches a stigma. And in much of America, the color of your skin gives you your class identity. Now, it's not all white people are rich and not all black people are poor. But in our society, especially in the South, the color became the stigma. And so that has to be rectified as well. We can't just ignore that. What do you think about the leaked JD Vance audio about Elon? I'm not aware of that. I didn't listen to it.
He has handed the keys of the federal government to Elon Musk and is selling off our country for parts to the richest people on the planet.
More than 30,000 people showed up for their joint appearance in Denver.
Look, as you know, when you run for president, you do a lot of rallies, and we've done a lot of big rallies. 32,000 people here is by far the largest rally I have ever done, and nobody's running for office. That tells you something.
So what are you trying to accomplish with this tour?
I'm trying to make it clear to the people throughout the world and throughout our own country that the American people are not going to sit idly by and allow Trump establish an oligarchic form of government where Musk and other billionaires are running our
Is there anybody who is like legitimate talking about this audio, or is it just like really good AI being leaked by dumbasses?
Government, and we're not going to sit back and an authoritarian form of society.
This is raw news in politics. Like, this isn't exactly what I would call a reliable source. Do you know one of us on Hassan's stream the other day and said they're unemployed? I have no idea what you're talking about. That sentence makes no sense.
Undermining the Constitution, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and undoing what the founding fathers of this country did in the 1790s, separation of powers.
The IOF just murdered Hossam Shabat in Gaza. He was the guy in contact with Hassan. They literally murdered him via drone strike. Yeah. The journalist that Hassan was going to go to Gaza with was just killed by a drone strike. Yeah, I retweeted that earlier. I was going to get to that. But I mean, yes, they would have killed Hassan if he'd gone to Gaza. Why so Dagnus? Thanks for the 50, man. And I think that one of the main things about Ethan Klein and Gila Klein is they just deny reality. Like, they have to. Basically, if you're going to defend what's going on in Israel or talk about anything but Israel, like in this conflict, you either have to just deny reality completely or you have to think it's good. And liberal Zionists deny reality and refuse to be corrected, right? And conservative Zionists say it's good. And that's what's so odd, right? Like, it isn't just that those of us who oppose what Israel's doing in Gaza and the West Bank and the Palestinian people are saying it. It's that conservatives are like, yes, we will exterminate them all. And yes, they have the right to rape the prisoners. And it's like, wait, can't you hear your own side, Gila? Can't you hear your own people, the people in government? Like, can't you, like, it's so odd. It's like you pretend that the only people saying what's going on to the Palestinians are Palestinians. It's just odd. Ethan is not a liberal Zionist when it comes to Israel. He's a conservative. Oh yeah, I know. I was just giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's a genocide. I think he knows he's lying. I mean, obviously.
Making sure that no one person an extraordinary amount of power, and that is precisely what Trump is trying to do. He wants it all. He doesn't want Congress. He doesn't want the media. He doesn't want the judiciary. He wants all of the power. We cannot allow him to have that.
Well, I hear you telling people out there, fight back. What do you mean, though? How do they fight back?
Well, it's the question. We're working on it right now. But I think, first of all, coming here and showing the world that Americans are not going to sit back and take what Trump is doing is a good step forward. But obviously, what we need to do is what neither political party is capable of doing right now. And that is develop a strong grassroots movement prepared to run candidates, prepared to stand up and question candidates, demand responsibility from their elected officials to stand with working families and not just the 1%.
I've been covering you for a long, long time. I've heard you railing against millionaires and billionaires for a long time.
Hey, guess what?
Is it different?
Turns out a few other people are catching on to that, right? Yeah. I have been talking for many years about this country moving toward an oligarchy. And I think anybody who is not dumb, deaf, or blind
6 months, hell yeah,
is seeing precisely what is happening. Trump's inaugural, right behind them, 3 wealthiest guys in America. You know, Lincoln talked about a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Remember? Well, we got a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, and for the billionaire class. That's what we have.
So we're about 60 days into the Trump era, the second Trump era. How would you grade the Democratic Party's response?
Well, I would take us back even 2 years before that, before Trump was elected, and saying that it saddens me that when the Democrats had control of the Senate, they did virtually nothing for working people. And I have to say that I'm a member of the Democratic caucus as an independent, so I'm not going to lie to you and tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
And since then, do I think the Democrats have been effective in rallying the American people, in stopping Trump's movement toward oligarchy?
Emmett Fist, thank you for the 20 tier 1s. Hell yeah. Look at that, chat. We got a hype train going on. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the stream by subscribing at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3.
In authoritarianism? No, I don't.
Is there anything that you think Trump has done right?
Yeah, I mean, I think cracking down on fentanyl, making sure our borders are stronger. Look, nobody thinks that illegal immigration is appropriate. And I happen to think we need comprehensive immigration reform. But I don't think that it's appropriate for people to be coming across the border illegally. So we've got to work now on comprehensive immigration reform. The idea that Trump has...
By the way, chat, I'm going to say something completely surprising to you. If you have a border and people could just come in without any kind of controls, that will cause ecological catastrophe, that will cause exploitation to increase, human trafficking, because you're going from places where people do not have protections against those kind of there isn't environmental regulations. There, you know, people will bring in all sorts of shit. They'll bring in invasive species. They will bring in agricultural products that have pestilence, like literally like blights and shit. They will bring in all sorts of shit. Like it's insane to not have any kind of checks as people go from one geographic region to another. That's not wrong. Okay, that's actually sane. All right, like Jesus fucking Christ. The second thing is illegal immigration is bad because that's what the capitalists want. They want you to be an illegal immigrant so that if you try to organize a union or you try to complain about not getting paid minimum wage or you try to complain to OSHA, they can call up ICE and get your ass deported. They love illegal immigrants because they can bring people in here to scab and cross picket lines because they're economically coerced. It's an insane anarchist position to be like, no, you should just ignore the way reality actually is and just say, oh, we should never have any kind of border controls, no matter how much damage it does to our environment or our ecology. We should just ignore that because I want to stand here and pretend like I know what I'm talking about. No, you fucking don't. Give me a fucking break. Now, that being said, I don't think you should ever give Trump credit. This is like giving ISIS credit. Like, what are you talking about, dude? What the fuck are you talking about? You don't have to hand it to Trump, ever. This is just called being dumb. All right? I want to defend the point of, yes, we should have some sort of controls to prevent ecological catastrophe and human trafficking and the use of coerced labor to undermine, the organizations of labor that exist in this country to create a hyper-exploited underclass. We shouldn't have that. And Bernie Sanders, that's what Bernie Sanders is talking about. He's not talking about we should have no immigrants because he's racist. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, give me a break. Like, give me a fucking break. Stop thinking like a fucking moron. All right? Like, Jesus Christ. Do you know what Joe Biden was trying to do? Joe Biden was literally trying to give ICE agents the power of the Gestapo. The way that, Donald Trump is ordering ICE agents to act right now, Joe Biden was trying to give them by law. Luckily, he failed. So that means that Donald Trump is just doing this shit illegally, but Joe Biden tried to make it legal in the first place.
I don't know what his latest numbers are. He wants to deport 20 million people.
What? There should be any borders. If you disagree, you're the lib. You're a fucking idiot. You're an actual idiot. You're an actual fucking moron. You're an actual fucking moron. Human beings have technologies like jet aircraft, which allow populations to transfer from one part of the world to the other in a single day. The problem, why is that a problem? Well, because, for example, there are agricultural, I don't want to destroy the ecology by somebody bringing fucking, an invasive species from one continent to another. Have you ever not heard about the Asian carp disaster that's happening in our country right now? Have you not heard of pestilences that spread from one place to the other? I don't want to destroy the ecology because you think that because of some sort of ideological insanity that we should never have any controls on people at all. You're insane. You're a fucking moron. You're a dipshit. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to destroy our biodiversity because you want to have this anarchist ideological position. We should absolutely have controls on people from transferring from one part of the world to the other. You're an idiot. You're an absolute fucking idiot. The second thing is, I want to live in a world, a unified one world government too. I do too. I want to have a unified world with no political constraints on people moving from one place to the other. I want to have even development across the world, right? That's my political goal. But it doesn't, what is the best way to achieve that goal? Is the best way to achieve that goal to cause mass migration of billions of people from underdeveloped regions to developed regions, causing mass disruption, ecological catastrophe, problems of social cohesion, empowering the far right? Or is it develop the underdeveloped places by ending exploitation and allow people to have freedom from a position of equality and not freedom from the position of, if you live in this country, we get paid $1 an hour. If you move to this country, you get paid $25 an hour. Of course, people are going to move to the place where they go $25 an hour. But is that actually good for them or the human race? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Again, it's just baby shit. You're not thinking about stuff seriously. You're thinking stuff ideologically in a utopian way. You have to start thinking a little bit more practically. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. There's also a way of accepting Republican framing. I am not. In fact, Republicans don't want Bernie Sanders' immigration program. You understand that, right? Bernie Sanders' immigration program is we have an economic migrant program where when migrants come to this country, whether they are H-1B visas or whatever, they don't have a position where their employer has power over them. That when they immigrate here, they join a union. When they immigrate here, they get paid minimum wage or whatever the prevailing wage is of their sector. And the demand for millions of people to flow to this country will be tremendously reduced when we're not sanctioning and waging war over the fucking country. Like, you're just not paying attention to reality. Most people don't want to move to America, you fucking chauvinist. Most people want to live where they are from with their families and the culture they're accustomed to, but they want to live a good, dignified life with economic prospects to improve their material condition. That's what people want. And I want to empower that. I don't want to be like, yes, move to America, the best nation in the world. No, that's fucking insane. Milton Friedman, an undocumented, what the fuck is this?
Look, for example, at the obvious, immediate, practical case of illegal Mexican immigration. Now, that Mexican immigration over the border is a good thing. It's a good thing for the illegal immigrants. It's a good thing for the United States. It's a good thing for the citizens of the country. But it's only good so long as it's illegal. That's an interesting paradox to think about. Make it legal, and it's no good. Why? Because as long as it's illegal, the people who come in do not qualify for welfare. They don't qualify for Social Security. They don't qualify for all the other myriads of benefits that we pour out from our left pocket into our right pocket. And so as long as they don't qualify, they migrate to jobs. They take jobs that most residents of this country are unwilling to take. They provide employers with workers of a kind they cannot get. They're hard workers. They're good workers. And they are clearly better off.
This is the average anarchist. Now, Milton Friedman is a fucking moron. Okay? Number one, he's wrong. Okay? What he's saying there at the end is Americans don't want to take these jobs. Why don't Americans want to take these jobs? Because they are underpaid. You cannot support yourself on that wage. That's why trust me, if you were offering people tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to pick fucking fruit, they would pick fucking fruit. What he is saying is he's basically saying illegal immigration is good because we get to enslave these people and that helps the capitalists have more profits. But the thing is about this is he's wrong. Illegal immigration keeps productivity down. Why does illegal immigration keep productivity down? Because when you have an illegal immigrant, you have a hyper-exploited individual who is not subject to the labor laws. He's right about that. And so you are not incentivized to increase productivity per worker. So you're not investing in machinery. You're not investing in capital in boosting productivity. Because if the wages were rising, then you would be incentivized to invest in productivity-boosting, labor-saving devices. Therefore, increasing productivity, requiring less people to do backbreaking work. But by importing illegal immigrants, you can make money without investing in those labor-saving devices. That is the problem. This is why China is kicking our fucking ass. Because they're investing in capital. They're investing in the labor-saving devices. They're investing in productivity-boosting strategies. Again, a lot of anarchists are going to disagree with me. They're just going to say that borders are a scar on the world, and Mike's being a fascist again. And it's just like, no. I'm actually talking about how the world really works in our society today, not your imagined utopian future.
Who are in this country, who are undocumented. Well, you do that, you destroy the entire country, because I got news for you. Trump's billionaire friends are not going to pick the crops in California that feed us. They're not going to work in meat packing houses. That's what undocumented people are doing. So we need a variety of programs, guest worker programs, but mostly comprehensive immigration reform.
But you know, illegal immigration it exploded under Biden, and it had been high for times under Trump as well, but it exploded under Biden, and nothing was really done until his last year in office when he was...
Yep, should have done much better, no argument.
So realistically...
By the way, chat, we should have done a comprehensive immigration reform in his first 2 years in office, and we should have ended the sanctions on Venezuela and Cuba. What bothers me is that Bernie Sanders doesn't talk about that. And I think the reason why they don't is they're scared of being called like communists or something. They don't want to be associated with Cuba and Venezuela. But that's the reality.
Republicans control the House, they've controlled the White House, they control the Senate. So what realistically can be done?
Well, for major pieces of legislation, you still need 60 votes in the Senate. And let's be clear. I mean, we have picked many of the spots that I've gone to in Wisconsin, in Iowa, in Michigan. We chose them carefully.
Yeah.
And those are because they have Republican congressmen who won by small margins. Right now, I don't know what the number is. I think if 2 or 3 Republicans out of 200 and whatever it is, 18 or whatever they got, choose not to support giving tax breaks to billionaires and cutting Medicaid and education, we can defeat this big supplemental bill, the beautiful bill that Trump wants to see passed. So right now, what we're trying to do is put pressure on those congressional districts, demand that Republican Congress people sit down and talk to their constituents and explain why they think it's a good idea to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the 1% and cut veterans programs, cut Medicaid, cut Social Security, cut education.
You said that the passage of this bill to the continuing resolution was a absolute failure of Democratic leadership. Who are you talking about?
Well, Schumer is the leader of the party, and it should not have happened, period. No question about it. But, you know, when we talk...
I mean, they associate Bernie with Castro in his first run for president, so it's understandable, but he's wrong. Like, the reality of our immigration surge was a couple things. First, pent-up demand because of the... pent-up demand of the COVID shutdowns, right? So like a lot of people who were trying to immigrate here or had legal asylum claims were stopped because of COVID. If somebody comes in here and their very first post is to just post art, that's probably a bot testing what they can get away with. Like, were you bored yesterday or... A little off topic, but it's funny how far back the anarchists versus Marxists go. This is a clip from the movie The Young Karl Marx.
Prudent. Chers amis, compagnons, citoyens, c'est avec plaisir que je prends place parmi vous à ce banquet républicain. Ils veulent supprimer ces banquets parce qu'ils ont peur de votre colère. Et ils ont raison d'avoir peur, car il y aura toujours plus de peuple que de police et de soif de liberté que de répression. Car c'est vous les artisans, les tisserands, les cordonniers, les tailleurs, les charpentiers, qui fabriquaient la richesse de ce pays.
Et les ouvriers alors? Les terrassiers, les mécaniciens, les gars des forts?
Je ne les oublie pas. Ces hommes, ces femmes, ces enfants, enchaînés à ces nouvelles machines
It's like you're not saying every job.
Et qui n'ont parfois même pas le pain, qui n'ont parfois de
chained to the
feu
new
et
machines of
d'enfer,
fire and brimstone,
et qui n'ont parfois
without
même
enough
pas
bread
le
at times
pain
to keep up their
pour
strength.
soutenir leur force. Il faut le dire tout net,
I'll say
tout
it clearly and
simplement,
simply.
on les assassine.
They're being murdered.
J'en arrive à mon sujet.
Now to my subject. What is slavery?
Si je réponds c'est
If I reply that
l'assassinat,
it's murder, you
vous
immediately
êtes
agree.
aussitôt d'accord. Alors pourquoi,
So when I
pourquoi
ask
la
what is
question,
property?
qu'est-ce que la propriété? Si je réponds c'est le vol,
If I reply that
dois-je
it's
sans cesse
theft,
devoir
must I
m'expliquer?
continually explain myself?
Propriété, mais laquelle?
Property, but which property?
Privée.
Private, bourgeois property?
Je parle de la propriété en général qu'on donne comme un droit naturel
Give
tel
it
que
as
la
a natural
liberté,
right like liberty,
l'égalité, la sécurité.
equality or
Ce sont
security.
des abstractions, non?
Ce sont des droits naturels. La liberté, l'égalité, la sécurité de chacun n'affectent pas celle de tous. Au contraire, elles les renforcent. Ce sont des droits naturels sociaux. La propriété, à l'inverse, empiète nécessairement sur la liberté, l'égalité, la sécurité des autres. C'est un droit naturel antisocial. C'est pour Moi, je demande non son extension à tous, mais tout simplement son abolition.
Bravo! Viva! À bas la propriété! À bas le roi! L'État! Vive l'anarchie!
D'accord, Michael, d'accord, je suis d'accord avec toi. Mais attention, les oreilles ennemies nous écoutent.
We're gonna see some debate bros.
Mikhail Alexandrovitch Bakunin. Tu lui as cherché des poux dans la tête, au maître. Enfin, c'est les autres qui disent maître. Pour moi, il n'y a pas de maître, ni de Dieu, ni de roi.
Karl Marx. Je suis pas anarchiste.
Je m'en doute. Je lis les annales franco-allemandes. Tama, je sais reconnaître le sang quand il y a le bout dans les veines. Et le bout dans les veines de tes écrits entiers.
Vous lisez les annales. Pourquoi pas y écrire?
Oudon, je te présente Marx. Les annales franco-allemandes.
Bonjour.
Marx.
Enchanté. Ma femme, Jenny.
Enchanté. Bonjour. Grun me traduit les annales.
Ah bon? Alors il doit le trahir.
Je crois, jeune homme, que vous aimez la bagarre ou en tout cas la dispute.
Dites la contradiction.
C'est vrai, vous êtes hegelien.
Je suis surtout matérialiste. Vous ne m'avez pas répondu sur la propriété.
J'en ai donné une définition, je crois.
Et le vol? Vous le définissez comment?
Faut-il vraiment le définir? Comme chacun sait, c'est la violation du bien d'autrui.
Excusez-moi, mon français...
Votre français est très beau.
Merci. Alors, la propriété, le bien, c'est donc pareil. Vous dites la propriété et le vol. Quand je vole la propriété de quelqu'un, je vole quoi alors? Le vol?
Vous faites semblant de ne pas comprendre, je suppose.
Karl ne fait jamais semblant. Ce qui veut dire, c'est que votre formule est une image. Une belle image, mais comme on dit chez vous, une image qui se mord la queue.
Votre français, à tous deux, décidément, est excellent. N'est-ce pas, Grun?
Jenny the Chad.
Talk about democratic leadership, we're talking about the Democratic Party in general. You know, so look, there's been nobody more critical of Chuck Schumer than I have been. And not just on this thing. But the bottom line is not just Chuck Schumer. It's not just Chuck Schumer. It is you got a Democratic Party in general that is dominated by billionaires, just as the Republican Party is, that is operates under the leadership of a bunch of inside the Beltway consultants, very well paid, who are
That's what I wonder. Then it's like, okay, Bernie Sanders, I completely agree with you. So why is the Democratic Party a good vehicle for what we're trying to do? I understand that if we run as a third party, we probably won't win a majority in our first run. That no, of course not. And if that were your standard, then you should never run as a third party, ever. And the Republican Party would not have formed. Maybe the gradual abolition of slavery would finally have completed this year. But like, you have to be comfortable with risk because the status quo is riskier. The Democratic Party is riskier.
way out of touch with the 32,000 people who are here today.
Ocasio-Cortez's criticism of Schumer has been harsher, fueling speculation she'll challenge him in the Democratic primary when he is up for re-election in 3 years. For his part, Sanders doesn't want to talk about whether or not Schumer should remain the Democratic leader in the Senate. And he got irritated when I asked him about the possibility of AOC running, abruptly getting up to end the interview.
Thanks, Vio.
Okay, you're out there with AOC today. Do you see her as a future of the progressive?
We have one of the untold stories of what's going on in current American politics is that in the House of Representatives, you have dozens and dozens of strong, smart, disciplined, hardworking young people in the Progressive Caucus. And you know, way back when I first came to the Congress and the House, I helped form the Progressive Caucus. We had 5 people in it at that time. Now they got close to 100. So you got a whole lot of good people. Alexandra is extraordinary. I am so impressed by her work in Congress and her, she inspires young people all over the country.
Would you like to see her join in the Senate?
Right now we have, as I said, just a whole lot of people in the Congress. Okay, Jonathan, thanks.
Wait, I got one more. This is important.
Well, I asked you.
Okay.
You know, you want to do nonsense, do nonsense.
No.
I don't want to talk about inside the Beltway stuff. I got 32,000 people.
I was just asking you about AOC because she was out there with you.
No, fine, but I don't want to talk about this. What was the last question?
I was just going to ask you one more question about you. I mean, that's all. I was literally your last.
What is your question?
Well, I mean, it's easier. I mean, I want to ask you about your future. This is the biggest crowd. You said you ran for president twice. This is the biggest crowd you've ever seen. Are we going to see you run again, or what's your future?
Right now, I am very proud that the people of the state of Vermont sent me back to the Senate with 63% of the vote. Right now, I'm Vermont senator. That's what I do, and I'm very happy to do it. I am 83 years of age, and I'm tired.
All right, our thanks to Senator Sanders for taking the time to talk to us and for letting us.
This has always been my problem with Bernie Sanders. This has always been my kind of like critique of Bernie, or my, and it's like Bernie Sanders needs to take that next step, which is you're 83 fucking years old. What do you have to lose? You just got reelected. Like what's the you're going to be in the Senate until 2030 fucking 2. What do you have to lose? You think Bernie or AOC will endorse Zoran? I don't know. I don't know the intricacies of New York politics and why there's so much discord on the left. Seems like there's a lot of personalities. Hassan said he will try to make it happen. I mean, like, it's delusional to think it's anybody. It's going to be Zoran or Andrew Cuomo. Those are your choices. Like, there's no other choice. Maybe they're waiting until, closer to the election so it has more of a boost, closer to the actual vote. That would be my guess.
This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work with another response to a question, an Ask Prof. Wolf question from our Patreon community. This question comes from John Ferrer, and it concerns the relationship between the anarchist theoretician and leader Mikhail Bakunin and Karl Marx. And so it opens the whole space for a discussion of the relationship between anarchism and Marxism. And like all the great questions about Marxism and anarchism, it is subject to the different understandings of what those terms mean, to the different interpretations of the philosophies of these two major figures from the 19th century. It also is complicated by the fact that Marx and Bakunin worked together to start the International back in the middle of the 19th century, knew each other, worked with each other, and had a kind of theoretical alliance coupled with strong disagreements. So I will not pretend, as I think many others have, that what I'm about to say is the word on the subject. Everybody's interpretation is just that, an interpretation, and mine is no different in that it's an interpretation based on a way of reading what these two thinkers had to say. So here's the gist of it. What both men agreed on, and what anarchists and Marxists often agree on to this day, is the critique of capitalism and the sense that society could and should do better than capitalism. That is, both Marxism and anarchism have a deep, long-lasting commitment to socialism as the name of the next system, the system we can build on the basis of capitalism and yet break from capitalism to something that's better for most people. A further area of agreement between Marxists and anarchists, at least most of the time, has been that the state is part of what has to go, that the function of the state is to reproduce the dominant class structure. So in capitalism, the state is the servant of capitalism. Its activities, however it pretends to represent everybody, are mainly geared to reproducing the dominant position of capitalists within a capitalist system. In a way, slave states reproduced slavery, states in the feudal period reproduced feudalism, and states in the capitalist era reproduce capitalism, and that therefore the state is the enemy of both anarchists and Marxists because of its role as a major support for capitalism's reproduction. So then where do they disagree? Their major disagreement is on what Marx sometimes referred to as the role of a state that could represent the working class during an intermediate period from the collapse of capitalism when the state no longer reproduced it, but before the establishment of socialism, there would need to be a state that could serve the interests of an emerging socialism by blocking the use of the state to reproduce capitalism. In other words, Marx's notion of the state as existing in a transitional period was not an endorsement of the state or a thought that the state should exist within socialism, but should be a tool, a way for the working class to have more power to make the transition from capitalism to socialism. This was anathema to Bakunin, who wanted a direct and pretty much immediate assault on the state to get rid of it, and that was not acceptable, Marx's idea of a temporary transitional role for a state or a state apparatus. And so that has remained part of the opposition that is often found alongside the alliance between anarchists and Marxists. Some of you may have heard the phrase, the withering away of the state, and you may know that that was an objective of the Soviet Bolsheviks who made the revolution there in 1917. The very phrase, withering away of the state, was a statement by their leader, Lenin, to underscore that their objective as Marxists included the removal of a state from the society because you were getting rid of the class opposition between capitalists and workers, and therefore did not need a state apparatus to enforce that division. So then why the antagonism? Well, there are many reasons, not the least of which, particularly in the United States, has been that the Cold War, since 1945, in other words, a very long time, 75 years, was phrased as a war between the United States and the Soviet Union, between capitalism and socialism, and that therefore the great demon to be avoided was anything to do with socialism, and that usually meant Marxism and so on. Anarchism kind of got pushed to the side. It wasn't a large major movement. There was no society that embraced it as such, no leadership, since partly anarchists don't want that. And so it wasn't the subject of the same kind of persecution and hostility, even though there are plenty of moments in American history where anarchism was the designated demonization of choice at the time. So anarchism is a way for people to be leftist that at least raises the question here in the United States, what exactly is it? What does it mean? People believe they know what socialism means, Russia, China, Cuba, and so on. They believe they understand that. They don't quite get what anarchism is. Plus, there's this peculiar libertarian strain in the United States that makes hostility to the government attractive to Americans, and anarchism then becomes the left-wing version of all of that, and that may explain also why it resurges from time to time. The basic conclusion I draw from this is that Marxists and anarchists, socialists and anarchists, have much more in common than divides them. There ought to be, and there often has been.
I mean, I don't agree with that, actually. I think we have nothing in common. And the reason why I say that is that anarchists don't want you to do anything that actually is effective in fighting, right? Like, I don't care if you agree with me about some utopic fucking shit that's, 100 years in the future, or after, we win, right? We agree about what it would look like after we win. If every time I try to do anything, you're blocking it, like, what I mean? Or you're disagreeing with it, or you're sabotaging it from within, or you're betraying me to the security forces, or you're, it just doesn't, there's nothing, like, practically, the alliance can't form because you just disagree with having alliances. How can you have an alliance with an anarchist group? Is each individual person going to sign the fucking agreement? Like, what if they break it? You know, having an enforcement mechanism when you break an agreement, that sounds like a state to me. So, like, what I mean, I just don't agree. I think the problem is that we need to be concerned with actually doing shit in reality today, right now, collectively. And if you're just against organizing in such a way, then we can't even do step one. And that's why the CIA has always promoted anarchist viewpoints as much as they can, because it holds space on the left, and that space is held by ineffectiveness and no threat. I mean, that's just, it's harsh but true.
Practical collaborations, alliances, coalitions between them for all kinds of fights against capitalism. Let them debate the pros and cons of a temporary transitional state. Let them debate the pros and cons of the withering away of the state, how that happens, how fast that happens, the forms it takes. That should not prevent the collaboration on the enormous areas of agreement that can be summarized as the critique of capitalism and the advocacy of a transition to socialism.
I think my main problem is like I think that a lot of people talk about anarchists versus socialists who have never read a history book or don't really know anything at all. So it's like kind of painful whenever somebody even asks me about it, because it's like, the truth is anarchists don't really think about that kind of thing. Like, they don't really think about the practical reality of fighting a fucking war against the state. And they have childlike perspectives of what war means. And that's it. Or revolution.
This is Richard Wolff.
And they underestimate the deadliness of reactionary movements and counter-revolution and what that would look like. And it's just like, what do you want me to do with that?
For democracy at work.
And like, some people are like, Mike, you should be more pro-anarchist. And it's like, why? I don't want you guys going down that fucking route and wasting your time. Would you say anarchists like Noam Chomsky are controlled opposition? Here's what I would say. There's plenty of people who call themselves anarchists who have important things to say. I think that's what Richard Wolff was getting at. And I agree with him on that. There's a lot of people who call themselves anarchists who I like what they write, especially when they're analyzing capitalism or they are analyzing American foreign policy. The problem is their prescriptions are bad. It's like, if you don't like American foreign policy, like, you have to stop America. How do you stop America? You take control of the American state. You stop the American state. I like Chomsky until he writes off all past and existing socialism as right-wing or authoritarian. Yeah, of course. On the differences of anarchism, here's the reality: is the state, human beings accomplish big things the more they are organized, and the more they are working collectively. States are the largest organizations in the planet, and therefore the largest organizations of humanity. The idea that you could ignore that and then fight it as an individual is insane. I'll give you an example that's very concrete. If you were to shoot Donald Trump in the head and kill Donald Trump, would the American government collapse? No. In fact, that wouldn't even matter. They would immediately have J.D. Vance sworn in 5 minutes, and then, the American state would be unperturbed. It's in fact designed for the president to die. So, like, an individual act of attacking Donald Trump does not actually destroy the state. It's the same thing with Luigi, right? Luigi shot a healthcare CEO. What happened? In 5 minutes, there was an acting CEO and nothing changed. What changed for the policyholders of United Healthcare? They just continued on. He was replaced, allegedly. I don't know beyond in fact, I think it wasn't him, but I just said Luigi so you would understand what I'm talking about. In order to stop the American government, you have to take over the American government or dismantle the American government. If one wants to advance a program of conquering state power in order to wield it for socialist construction, while another wants to simply abolish the state in one stroke, where could there be any reconciliation? It's impossible to merge the two positions. I mean, I completely agree with that. It's just not possible to merge the positions. I don't know what else to say. One thing that changed was a public display of rage that was difficult to suppress for 3 or 4 months. And like most anarchists' expressions of anger, it dissipated over time because it wasn't channeled to any kind of organization. It's the same thing with Bernie Sanders and AOC fucking speeches. It's the same thing. If it's not channeled to an organization in a permanent structure, there's organizing. Like we've talked about this before. There's a very famous clip about their China is winning. Okay, hold on. This is good. iShow Speed test drives the 1,500 horsepower electric car in China that has a retail price of only $70,000. He said he wants to buy it.
Car cost?
Retail is about $70,000.
70,000?
Yeah.
And it's faster than my Lamborghini.
Unfortunately, it is.
And it's electric?
All right, so I'm doing a little bit of acceleration. Hold
Let me see. Oh!
So
damn.
that's all.
Whoa!
I won't do any faster than that. Quite rapid.
Bro, ain't no way! Yo!
Maybe a little more. Yeah, up to 70.
Bro, hold on. Wait.
Please.
Yo, ain't no way!
All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
You can feel the camera like it's
and it costs 70,000?
70,000. Yeah.
That's it? So my Lamborghini costs $250,000.
Model S Plaid in China costs about 100, a bit more, 120.
What the hell? Car cost?
Yeah, somebody was like, Chinese princelings are going to feed his speed with Chinese capitalism. Honestly, that'll be even more hilarious. All right, let's keep going. Okay, we've got a lot of iShow Speed glazing going on today. All right, let's watch this new video from Bad Empanada, because this is like the ultimate Bad Empanada video. This really is a good, like, if you want to know like my opinion of Bad Empanada, it can be fully understood by this video, which means he's very, very, very good, but he's a gadfly, and sometimes he goes off half-cocked. I mean, and so I'm okay. I'm comfortable with that. I can exist in a space with somebody who's doing that, as long as you recognize that's what he's doing. He kept saying China has no respect for patents. Did you tell him that Apple and Windows were both created with no respect for patents, and that the American tech industry, like right now with the AI, is just stealing people's intellectual property for their fucking large language models? So what happened to caring about intellectual property being important when ChatGPT does nothing but steal intellectual property? I guess that's fine now, right? Nobody cares now. I guess intellectual property doesn't matter after all.
Most pressing issue of our time. Should Hassan Piker go to Gaza or not? This is the latest hot button topic among all the dumbest people in the world on both sides. Both Hassan Piker for even bringing up this possibility in the first place, and all the morons who are like, oh, why did he change his mind? Why won't he go to Gaza now? So this all begins with Hassan Piker a couple of weeks ago bringing up this abominably stupid, incredibly naive and childish idea for reasons that I'm going to explain to you in a minute.
Now, I want to say this. I don't think that Hassan is naive and childish for wanting to go to Gaza, because people in Gaza were like, you should come, right? And he has connections with people in Gaza, right? And he is trying to support the people of Gaza. And I know he's covered it extensively, and I know he knows what's going on. And I think that he fundamentally underestimates the evil of the Israelis. Like, I think he understands they're evil, but they would kill you. Like, if Hassan actually got to Gaza, they would kill him. Hassan's contact just got killed since this video came out. So Bad Empanada is not wrong for saying that it's naive to go to. I wouldn't go to Gaza because they would kill me. It's not complicated. If I went to Gaza, they would murder me. Like, it's, you know, it's not a like, oh, maybe, what if? No, they absolutely 100% would murder me. Like, not like a, oh, you know, Mike's being paranoid. No, if I went to Gaza, Israel would bomb where I am at. That's it. They know what my phone is. They know how to identify me, right? They would bomb my phone signal. The IDF would 100% murder me. It's not even like it's not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact. They've murdered multiple Americans in press gear, not even in Gaza. They shoot them down. Rachel Corrie, Shireen Abdul Abkla, they shot her in the head. Right in front, like they will kill Americans without a blink, and the CIA will do nothing about it. The American State Department will do nothing about it. Hassan covered this. Hassan knew all this. It was a long shot. It could only happen if there was a ceasefire, etc., etc. Yeah, exactly. And that's why when Hassan talks about security guarantees, He's not talking about being hurt by Gazans. He's talking about being murdered by Israel.
On whatever this is, like a dude.
And the Trump administration would celebrate it. Like if I was murdered or Hassan was murdered in Gaza, the Trump administration would call us Hamas terrorist supporters who were aiding Hamas or whatever, aiding the terrorists, and say that our murder was justifiable. So when somebody says, "Oh yeah, Mike or Hassan or whoever, go to Gaza," they're basically saying, "I want the IDF to kill you," but they're too bitch made to say it.
Bro, Jim Tan Laundry podcast.
Dude, I might actually take Marsh with me to Gaza.
I don't know who Marsh is.
Oh.
Gaza? Yeah.
Marsh, you can say no.
I already asked him. He said yes.
I'm not going to Gaza.
I was not asking you to go to Gaza.
Well, I don't like that I'm not invited now.
Okay, I think the main thing about this is when I saw this clip the first time, I have to admit that I didn't think it was a good clip. I love everybody in this video. No hate. I feel like Austin acted appropriately. I think Hassan was talking to these people about something that he was considering, and I think he let his guard down. He let his guard down, and I just don't think it was responsible to do that. That's it. It's a very minor critique.
I do kind of have a little bit of FOMO, Cutie and I.
This is such a fucking weird interaction. What the hell?
We want to go to Gaza. What did you say?
Bada Panada doesn't understand how connected Hassan, and his conclusion here is correct, but made on a faulty premise. I think Hassan should never have brought it up, but the real conversation between Al Jazeera, Jeremy Scahill, and Gazan journalists during the ceasefire, nothing less. But I don't hold it against Bada Panada. I just wish he would investigate things he finds strange or out of character, as he himself points out in this video. Yeah, I think Bada Panada thinks Hassan is like him. And he's not. And with all due respect to Bada Panada, but Hassan is not like you, man. Hassan does a lot more actual politics than you do. Now, I'm not saying that maybe you do a lot in Argentina, and I don't know, but I just don't think you really. I don't think Bada Panada really gets it, right? Like, Bada Panada criticizes Bernie and AOC, rightfully. Hassan interacts with Bernie and AOC. Bada Panada talks about how there's a genocide in Gaza. Hassan talks to the people in Gaza and asks them what he could do to help those people and raises millions and millions of dollars, right? Like, Bada Panada has good takes. Hassan has good takes, but he's also represents the largest leftist online, and he gets a quadrillion times the negative attention that anybody else gets. This is just true. This is not me glazing. This is just me stating facts. Okay, Hassan is more connected with the pro-Palestine movement in America. He's more connected to the pro-Palestine movement in Europe. He's more connected to Gazans themselves and Palestinian liberation movements. That's just reality. So when Hassan is saying stuff like, "I want to go to Gaza," it's not just something he's saying out of pocket. It is the reality of he's talked to international organizations and individuals high up in the Palestine movement. And he's doing it as a consciousness raising campaign. He's not doing it as a disgusting online influencer who's just trying to like make money off of the genocide. Okay, he is working with the people that are fighting the genocide and giving them as much help as he can. It's not the same thing as what you're doing. And yes, it's very easy to criticize when you're not really that connected, and that's fine. And I think I'm okay with that. I'm okay with saying this is a bad look, because I honestly do think this clip doesn't look very good. I don't think it was a good explanation of exactly how serious the topic was.
Damn, like it was a designer brand.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now, but
this is like fucking talking about going to Auschwitz the way they're talking about it, man. Come on.
Who knows what'll happen?
Is it dangerous?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not serious.
The dangerous part isn't actually the reason why he can't go to Gaza, by the way. It has almost nothing to do with it. I'll explain why once we go after the detractors.
So you should consider. I'm worried about you.
What an extremely weird interaction that was. That's just really weird. Anyway, so now Hassan's detractors have been responding to him.
But don't you think it's a U.S. citizen thing that you're virtually invulnerable with an American passport? That you think you're virtually invulnerable with an American passport? Not directly referring to Hassan, but sometimes read like that. Like, well, there's a lot of people who wrongfully believe this dumb fucking take. I'm going to explain to you what this dumb fucking take is. The dumb fucking take is, it's like during BLM protests, when people would be like, "White people to the front, white people to the front." The cops will not do anything to the white people. And then the cops immediately smash the white people. That's not how the world works, man. Like, it's a weird, like, oh, American passport holder, go to Gaza, you'll be safe. No, you won't. You believe in this like weird lib, anarcho lib shit, rad lib, where it's like, you have privilege, and that is like, you think like a privilege analysis actually means that somehow the state will just bounce off of you, or the missiles will curve around you. They will not. Especially if you're a left-winger. None of the privileges apply if you're a left-winger, okay? If you're a leftist, you lose your whiteness. That's what happened in Nazi Germany. The white Catholic leftists were arrested and killed first. Like, leftism is the biggest threat to capitalism and the status quo and to the genocide. So it's just like nonsense. If somebody's a left-winger, they lose whatever privilege they had when it comes to fighting the state. Believe the U.S. passport will protect you from Israel just so you don't know shit about this issue? Yes, exactly. It doesn't protect shit.
Changed his mind. He doesn't want to go to Gaza anymore.
As a Palestinian American, I would like to remind members of the chat, the last time I was able to go to Palestine, I was told point blank by an IDF soldier that I had a literal gun to my face, that my American passport did not matter. And considering what has happened to Americans who have chosen to stand up for our rights, who have been murdered time and time again, such as Rachel Corrie, these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Exactly. Not only that, there were Americans in Gaza when Israel started to bomb it. There were American passport holders and European passport holders in Gaza who were trying to flee the fucking war zone, and they were stopped by Israel. In fact, I had a whole fight with John Fetterman about it because there was all sorts of Pennsylvanian Americans who were trying to flee Gaza, and he wasn't doing anything to help them. You guys, it's just wrong. It's just a stupid bullshit thought to think that being an Israelis don't care if you're American. American politicians don't care if you're American. If Israel kills you, they'll say sorry to the Israelis and give them another $100 billion. Did you see the leaked text between Vance and Hegseth about Yemen warplanes? I don't. Is there a actual source that's not an online thing?
So take a look at this first clip from Slop YouTuber, who no one knows why this guy's famous. Like, he makes videos where he plays video games and rants incoherently about saluting the troops and shit. Like, I have no fucking clue who this guy is, what he's famous for.
The Trump administration accidentally texted me its war plans? Oh my god. U.S. national security leaders included me in a group chat about upcoming military strikes in Yemen. I didn't think it could be real, and then the bombs started falling. By Jeffrey Goldberg. Jeffrey Goldberg is probably one of the most virulent Zionists in all of American discourse. Of course, they accidentally added him. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern Time on March 15th that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this was that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. The plan included precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing. The Chinese are currently installing a fucking packet sniffer on his phone right now as we speak. This is going to require some explaining. David from Anti-Applebaum. Oh my god, dude. The Atlantic is so bad, dude. The story technically begins shortly after the Hamas invasion of southern Israel on October 20th, 2023. The Houthis, an Iran-backed terrorist organization whose motto is God is great, death to America, death to Israel, curse on the Jews, victory to Islam, soon launched attacks. So look at how much like preamble. Look how much preamble we have to get into. How many times do you think Jeffrey Goldberg told you the motto of Jewish power? This guy's Jewish power. The Jewish Power Party. The Jewish Power Party. Ultra-nationalist, anti-Arab, and far-right, and has been described as racist, Jewish supremacist, and Jewish fascist group. It calls for the annexation of the West Bank and complete Israeli rule of the land between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea. Advocates cancellation of the Oslo Accords and is against the formation of a Palestinian state and for imposing Israeli sovereignty over the Temple Mount. Itmar Ben-Gvir. Oh wow, look at that. It's in the government. Itmar Ben-Gvir. How often do you think the Atlantic goes and explains the Jewish Power Party with the same level of preamble? What do you think? Fucking dumb fuck. Okay. Soon launched attacks on Israel and on international shipping, creating havoc for global trade. You mean attacking Israeli ships and ships bound for Israel? Is that what you mean? Trump coordinated the Houthi strike via Signal chat, which of course leaked. If we think you should do it, let's go. I just hate bailing Europe out again. Let's just make sure our messaging is tight here. If there are things we could do up front to minimize risk to Saudi oil facilities, we should do it. VP, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. But Mike is correct. We are the only ones on the planet, on our side of the ledger, who could do this. Nobody else even close. Question is timing. I feel like now is a good time as any, given POTUS's directive to reopen the shipping lanes. I think we should go, but POTUS still retains 24 hours of decision space. As I heard it, the president was clear, green light, but we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. E.g., if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the U.S. successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return. Agree. In other words, America is being a mercenary for Egypt and Europe to attack the Houthis and, of course, Israel. The reason why they're talking about Egypt here, chat, is that the Red Sea leads to the Suez Canal, which is a major source of revenue for the Egyptian fascist government that we support. And so when the Houthis have been attacking Israeli-bound and Israeli-linked ships in the Red Sea, and that has significantly cut down on the canal fees that Egypt has been able to collect, because ships are now detouring away from the Red Sea and the Suez Canal around the Horn of Africa. And so that has, you know, that hurts Egypt. So Egypt is crying like, well, we can't get our canal fees. Do the genocide, but what about our canal fees? Amazing.
Or just another example of the like randomness of getting big on YouTube.
All right, they're above the whole drama side of the internet because I guess they're covering like politics. I've never actually seen any form of political action. I've never seen any canvassing done by this guy.
Just to know, I don't exactly understand how exactly canvassing for like a Democratic Party candidate would possibly ever be more effective politically than speaking to like hundreds of thousands of people about politics. Like you go to some fucking grandma's door and try to tell her not to vote for Trump. How is that possibly a better use of your time as someone with a platform that gets to hundreds of thousands of people than just talking to those hundreds of thousands of people? What a fucking dumb thing to say.
You know, I'll actually go as far as to say it like this. I will, on my own dime, pay for both of... How about this? How about this? At my own dime and my own expense, and like, you know, I'll give up my days of work and making serious money. I will fly both of us down.
Like you wouldn't make a ton of money from something like this.
Both me and him to Israel, and we will drive across the border and like actually, you know, do some real journalism on our own. I will pay for all of it myself, okay? I will do it on my dime. I will get them there, and that's it. Simple as that. That's my offer that I put up there, okay?
So this is genuinely just insane, just on the face of it. We're going to get to like other reasons in a second. So the first reason is that Hassan Parker would never be allowed into Israel. Not just into Gaza. He would never be allowed into Israel. Israel constantly refuses entry to anyone for the most banal of political reasons, even if they don't know who you are, and they do know who you are if you are at all like even slightly prominent on social media. They already do.
I want you to understand something, chat. This isn't just Badapadada speaking out of turn. And I tried to get Hassan to show you this, but Ilhan Omar is banned from Israel. Rashida Tlaib are banned from Israel. Rashida Tlaib has family members in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. I believe Rashida Tlaib wanted to visit her family. I think either her grandmother or her mother or somebody was dying. Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar banned from visiting Israel. They would 100,000%. First of all, I would not go to Israel, period. I would not go to Israel, period. You know, with the fascists they have in power now, I think going to Israel would be personally suicidal. Israel's denial of the entry to Congresswoman Tlaib and Omar is a sign of weakness and beneath the dignity of the great state of Israel, Pelosi wrote. If you want to understand how the Democrats believe, this is...
I have said to people when they ask me, Capitol crumbled to the ground. The one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid, and I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel. That's fundamental to who we, to...
If the American Capitol building fell to the ground, the one thing they would continue is their aid to Israel. This is the party people want you to stay in, by the way. And when she chose that imagery very intentionally, because the Capitol building of the United States of America represents the United. It is the ultimate symbol of the United States. It represents our country, right? It's existed. So if the Capitol building is aflame or is destroyed, she's saying the United States should fall, and she would still support Israel. That's what she's saying. She's saying if all you fuckers died, she'd still be spending money on Israel. You should take her at her word.
You know who you are. We'll get to that in a minute. If they have any reason to suspect you, like you have, say, an irregular beard, you look sort of Muslim, you have a Muslim-sounding name, they will take you aside and go through your phone for 12 hours to make sure you don't like follow anyone who they have on their list of no follows or anything. And if they find something there, you'll be refused entry. So someone like Hassan Piker, who is like a prominent streamer, millions of people know who he is, he would not be allowed entry into Israel, fucking obviously. Into Israel in the first place. Not even talking about Gaza, into Israel. You would very probably not be allowed into Israel because you're Muslim. Though given your pro
By the way, even if the Egyptian crossing was open, at this point, with the level of fascism that Israel has demonstrated, you wouldn't be safe in Egypt either.
Israel propaganda videos that you've made lately, perhaps they would give you the grace of letting you in. You'd certainly at least get harassed at the border, though, just for your name and for being brown. Israel even refuses entry to basically anyone. Like, look at, like, Norman Finkelstein was refused entry to Israel. Norman Finkelstein is a two-status, by the way. Jewish two-status, refuse entry to Israel. Not just refuse entry, but detained for like 24 hours before being deported. They don't just refuse you entry, they detain you and like psychologically torture you for a while before they deport you. Noam Chomsky was refused entry to Israel. Again, Chomsky is a two-status. Recently, just like search denied entry to Israel. You'll find even EU lawmakers denied entry to Israel.
Who do you think is in the who do you think is running the Israeli embassy of America, like America's Israeli embassy? Do you think you're going to find a lot of allies in the American embassy to Israel?
Sent there as part of an official delegation by the EU, which is literally an Israel-supporting polity, denied entry for criticizing Israel. Now, this is Israel proper. Israel proper is obviously, even aside from the fact it's obviously all occupied, it's an incredibly important tourism destination and religious destination because Israel occupies a ton of, ancient religious heritage and stuff like that many people want to see for whatever reason, religious or tourism or otherwise. And they constantly...
Like there's this one CIA agent who goes around and talks about Israel. And this story that I heard was so fucking wild. I was like, maybe I should show this to chat. We'll see.
I never met anybody at the CIA who was pro-Israel. Never. Not one. Not a single person. And it's because they make it so hard to like them. You know, if we're supposed to be their best friends, we have this special relationship. Well, I'll tell you the same story I told Danny Jones. I worked with this guy for years, and he married a woman in the office. And when I was going out to Bahrain on my rotation to the State Department, the wife was going out to Jerusalem because she got the same rotation to the State Department. So because she had worked with the Israelis for many years, the station decided to declare the two of them to the Israelis. So they land and they go straight to Mossad, and the chief said, these are my officers. She's on rotation to the State Department, and he's just going to study Arabic at the University of Tel Aviv. So they're there for a little while. They go to a party at the ambassador's residence, and they come home, and all of their living room furniture had been rearranged. And they're like, not cool. But this is what the Israelis do. They break in the house, they rearrange all your furniture just to say, ha, fuck you, we can do anything we want. They're there, working, months pass, they're having a good time. They go to the ambassador's Christmas party. Now, they're living in Jerusalem. The embassy at the time was in Tel Aviv. And so it's about a 30 or 40-minute drive to get from one city to the other. They come home at the end of the party, and people had taken shits in all of their toilets in their house. Every toilet had shit in it. Not cool. They're not doing anything. They're not working against the Israelis. They're just doing normal stuff. He's studying Arabic. She's just in the embassy's, economic section. And then when their tour was over, 2-year tour, the ambassador threw a going away party for them, which is a normal thing. And they get back to the house, and the dog is under the dining room table whimpering because somebody had cut the dog's tail off, and they wrapped it with gauze and with medical tape. Why would you do something like that? What do you hope to gain, except to make us hate you? If you're trying to win friends and influence people, That's really not the way you're going to want to go. So now here are these people who, if anything, were, moderately supportive of the Israelis, who came home only with bitterness and hatred toward the Israelis for this harassment that lasted for 2 years.
Yeah. The greatest way to get people to support Palestinians is to introduce them to Palestinians. The greatest way to make people not like Israel is to have them meet Israelis.
Deny people entry.
By the way, like, if somebody cuts your dog's tail off maliciously like that, legitimately, I would be murderous. I'm not saying that it's like, it should be legal to kill someone for cutting your dog's tail off. But in the moment, I would feel that way. Like, absolutely just depraved, by the way. It's just depraved. That's an evil act. The rearranging furniture, the shitting in the toilets, that's disrespectful, but ultimately harmless. Torturing a poor animal for no fucking reason, that's insane. That's actually insane.
Purely political reasons. Now, Israel also controls the border to Gaza and the West Bank, and the conditions for entry there are even more stringent than those for Israel itself. Just last year, for example, a fairly unknown British activist of the Green Party was denied entry to the West Bank from Jordan. He was detained for 5 hours as border officials...
From Jordan, by the way.
Officials, went through his phone, violating his privacy, while he was in the room with them, by the way, holding the phone up to him and screaming at him constantly. And he's actually not even Muslim. He's Hindu. He's not a part of any sort of anti-Israel organization. He's a part of an anti-Modi organization, that's all. And he was denied entry into the West Bank by Israel. This is not even someone who's very well known. None of you have ever heard of this person. He's not even a Green Party MP or anything. He's just a candidate. No one fucking knows who this guy is. He was denied entry into the West Bank by Israel. Hassan Piker is not going to be allowed into Israel or the West Bank. And I haven't even gotten to Gaza yet. We haven't even gotten to fucking Gaza. Israel has not let any foreigners into Gaza aside from humanitarian or medical staff for the entire duration of the genocide. No one. The only journalists who have been allowed into Gaza are embedded with the IDF and given a chaperone tour of what the IDF wants them to see. This fucking moron's I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it. All I need to do is pay for it. You can tell these people know nothing about the world, because in no world where someone knows fucking anything would they ever say something like that. Israel literally has an outright ban on foreign journalists entering Gaza. Outright ban. Only very few are allowed to enter, and it's with the Israeli military, okay? That's why almost all reporting comes from Palestinian journalists. Because they were there before the genocide began. They're the only ones who can report.
Did you see that the IDF was literally inviting settlers to come watch them rape Palestinians? Has Ethan Klein ever covered the UN report about how Israel uses rape as a systemic weapon? Has he read the UN report? He talked about how people were rape deniers for saying that there was nobody who claims to have been raped on October 7th themselves that has come forward. And there's no forensic evidence that's been provided to prove that accusation. That's just a statement of fact, by the way. It doesn't mean that some sexual assault never happened anywhere. It just means there is absolutely no evidence. So if you have no evidence for something outside of the testimony of far-right Israelis who have an incentive to lie, where is but you have no victims and you have no forensic evidence. What is what is going on here? What is going on here? But we have video and photographic evidence of Palestinians being raped, men and women, including a Palestinian orthopedic surgeon who was raped to death, a civilian doctor who was kidnapped and raped to death in a torture camp. This is a UN report. Has Ethan Klein talked about that on his stupid fucking show of fucking morons?
And we're going to get into what happens to them soon and what happens to foreign aid workers. Now, if you're a foreign aid worker in Gaza, you're just as much risk as the Palestinians are of being killed. In just a year, 300 aid workers were killed. There were multiple attacks on convoys, very targeted attacks. They literally directly targeted World Central Kitchen aid convoy at one point. Let me show you the picture. That's a nice little precision strike, isn't it? Being a foreigner in Gaza, even if you somehow manage to get in, does not protect you. Now,
look at how they hit the World Central Kitchen logo. What a precision strike.
Just the notion of even being able to get in is impossible.
Ethan banks on the premise that everyone believes that Israel is only doing horrible stuff because they have to fight terrorism. Talking about pro-rape protests would blow a hole in that premise. The idea that Israel is just doing what they need to do to fight terrorism is laughably stupid. When they side ceasefires and a bunch of hostages get released, and then they go and fight a war, killing a bunch of kids and rescue 0 hostages, it seems pretty clear that diplomacy is the way to peace. Recognition of Palestinians' rights to exist. He talks about Israel having a right to exist. What about the Palestinians having a right to exist? I mean, it's just crazy. And because of our support of Israel, we're now supporting a dictatorship in Saudi Arabia, dictatorship in Jordan, a dictatorship in fucking Egypt. We're supporting a fucking Al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria. Like, I mean, when is it going to end? How many evil dictatorships do we need to support so that Israel could exist?
Possibly not even. Hassan, it's embarrassing for Hassan that he even...
Mike, I would like to hear your opinion on that. I don't think the current situation in the U.S. is comparable to Nazi Germany. The Nazis worked for years to dismantle governments and so on. The Trump administration is 2 months in and destabilizes everything. We as an Austrian, it is similar cruelty and inhuman behavior, but nevertheless different, especially if we include the situation of war in Gaza. It is so different to me. What do you think about that? I think that different situations are different, but they obviously are related. The United States has outsourced its genocide to Israel, which is our fucking puppet state. But we're still doing it. And the United States has only begun to start targeting internal enemies, beginning with the most marginalized ones where they could use legal formalism to attack and claim a fig leaf of legal precedent or legal justification. So, like, yeah, it's like, how would you have thought about Hitler in July of 1933 versus Hitler in 45? There was an escalation that had to go on. So yeah, I think Trump is a fascist. I think Trump is a vulgar fascist dumb fuck, but he has built a fascist movement around himself.
Put forward that possibility. He's not getting into Israel, let alone fucking Gaza or the West Bank. You've been covering this shit for like 6 years now. You were like, what? How'd you even come up with that idea? I think you made a big mistake there.
I think honestly, the answer to this is, and this may surprise Bada Panada, I think Hassan Piker is actually incredibly brave. I think Assad was like thinking, well, you know, I might go to Gaza even though it's risky because of how important it is, assuming you were able to get to some sort of like permanent ceasefire regime where it would be, you know, not the middle of the bombing campaign. And I think there was a little bit of a naive hope that that might be imminent. I don't think he would want to be the only foreign journalist in Gaza, right? Like maybe he would go with CNN journalist or a CNBC journalist or whatever not CNBC, but NBC journal. You get what I mean, right?
Hassan would never be allowed into fucking Israel, and that this guy, who by the way his name is Some Ordinary Gamers, what the fuck does that mean? You're multiple gamers, Some Ordinary Gamers, what the fuck kind of a name is that? I thought my name was bad, and it's unlikely that he would be as well, though. Israel keeps tabs on everyone's social media like usage and stuff. Basically, any prominent person, they know who you are. They have like notes on you, things that you've said about Israel. And if you try to enter, they go over those notes and they probably will deny you. If he said anything even remotely anti-Israel, he's gone. There's no chance, especially because he's Muslim. But there's people who go beyond that and who apparently don't even have the brain power to think about the fact that obviously he's not going to be allowed in ever, not just because he's not going to get into Israel, but also because they don't fucking let foreigners into Gaza. But even if he was allowed in, you know, it's a fucking active genocide. What do you think would happen? Well, don't worry, because Ethan and Healer Klein are on the case to let us all know about how Hassan Piker should apparently enter Gaza, which is a thing that they keep putting forth as even possible, but that if it were possible, that's like a death threat. Go to Gaza? That is just straight up a fucking death threat. But look at these fucking morons, what they say. Why does he look like this? What is this hair? Just get the Harley and get divorced already. You're already there. Ethan, buy the Harley Davidson. Get like a custom brown poop Harley Davidson. That'd suit you. Get divorced. Start driving around. Begin the midlife crisis. You're already there, dude. You're there already. Stop delaying.
Ongoing joke we've had on the show. Hassan was like, I'm thinking of going to Gaza. And then the guy on TikTok was like, he's actually...
You would much rather spend your time going after someone who is actually considering genuinely going to Gaza.
Now, this is funny, and everybody knows it. This is what
I would say about Ethan Klein. Like, I gotta be honest with you, chat. Ethan Klein just strikes me as one of the most profoundly unhealthy people I've ever seen in my entire life. He can't get through a sentence without sniffling and coughing up a lung. Like, what is going on? He does not look well. I guess he must have dyed his hair for money, right? There's no way he thinks that looks good, right? He made money off of that. But he like his chat like paid for him to dye his hair, right? Like there's no fucking way that he thought this looked good. Yes, okay, that makes sense.
Where it came from, and I'm just showing the stolen valor that he's trying to claim. So
stolen valor? What the fuck does that mean?
This is from his subreddit. People glazing him up. He's thinking of going to Gaza.
Dude, I might actually take Marsh with me to Gaza.
No.
Gaza?
But these people react to it in like a way that makes literally no fucking sense. Like no one involved in this even thought of the fact that no one who is even remotely anti-Israel is ever going to be allowed to get into Gaza. Ever. Let alone fucking Israel. Certainly not Israel. Certainly not Gaza.
Did you say Gaza? No.
It's you can say no.
I already asked him. He said yes.
Marsh, are you serious? Look.
I'm not going to Gaza.
I was not asking.
This segment, they call it Hassan.
Oh, that's crazy.
Hassan, seriously, you should consider.
I also was...
Okay, so here's Hassan. He's back. He's all like, yeah, no, guys. And here he look at all the kudos he's getting on his subreddit. The most recent fear...
I love this for Ethan. Like, I was talking to people the other day, and I was just like, I love this, man. I love this for Ethan. I love this for Ethan because like he now has a reason to live, right? Like now that he's lost Hassan as a friend, he probably was feeling like he had no reason to live. And now he does, which is to go, somebody is giving Hassan kudos. It's not fair. And honestly, like, I'm happy for you, man. I'm happy for you. The #1 Hassan, anti-Hassan podcast, but also too stupid to actually do substantive anti-Hassan shit. It's like one of the things I've noticed about Ethan and Destiny as well is the way they talk about Hassan, which is like they say he never debates their points, but then they never offer up a point that they disagree with and then the refutation of it. It's like Hassan has countless hundreds of hours of him talking about politics. Why don't you like take some points and take them in good faith. What is Hassan's actual position? And then debate against it with your points. They can't do it. They can't treat Hassan with good faith and then refute his arguments. That's a sign that your argument is bad, by the way. If you can't take the other side's argument in good faith and then refute it, that means your argument is not good. Now's your chance to short. Yeah, I saw this. There was the stocks are doing good today. This was like one of Tesla's best ever days. Don't they have like a quarterly report coming up? Smart score. What's the smart score? Tesla will likely underperform the market over the next 12 months. Blogger sentiment and company fundamentals? What? The fundamentals are terrible. Do I own stocks? I currently don't own any stocks. But that's more of a investment choice than I just don't think I think the markets are overbought and we're heading towards a recession. And so I'm looking for capitulation before I go back in. I feel like now I'm not trying to time the market too much. I just feel like when we actually officially enter negative growth for a quarter and the stock market starts to really eat shit, then I'll buy in. But maybe I'm too early and waiting on that. But I think there's a recession heading our way. Despite the hate, Model 3 and Y and their charging network are super solid. Everything else is... I agree with you completely. I think the Model Y and the Model 3 are fine products. And I think the supercharger network is the best charging network in America, which is by far and away the best asset that Tesla has. I agree with you completely on that. The problem is that Tesla, the true market value of that would be like 1/10 of what the stock is trading at. If the company was worth 80 billion, then I would be like, hell yeah, that's a good company. But it's worth 900 billion. Okay, anyway, back to the bad Pinata shit.
Fear and Hassan mentioned possibly going to Gaza.
Model 3 and Model Y are still low quality vehicles. I don't know about that. Especially after all the price cuts. Like I think you might be thinking of the Model Y from like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. But with the price cuts, because no one's buying Teslas, like that, I think it's a good value. The problem is that it can't compare to like the competition that's coming. The competition just blows it out of the water. Like the only reason why Tesla has a chance of succeeding in the U.S. is because BYD is not allowed to sell cars here. If China had been allowed to sell cars in the U.S., it would be game over for the rest of the world's auto markets, or auto companies, by the way. Like literally, if China had been allowed to sell cars here, it would have been GG for Europe and American auto manufacturers. It would have been over. Like literally over. Like completely over. Like Ford, GM, Stellantis, BMW, Volkswagen, they're all fucked if BYD had been able to sell. Chinese electric automaker BYD will launch a compact SUV in France at 28,000 euros. I like literally might buy this for like Vio's mom. Like honestly, like Jesus Christ, like this is crazy.
And it seemed pretty serious about it. Has this been discussed before? My God, you guys. Oh my God, you guys.
I just want to note, like, the background noise in this show, how the fuck is that even possible? They have 20 employees. Listen to the fucking mic noise.
You have no idea what you're talking about. What do I not know about? What am I wrong about? Waiting. The Ford CEO agrees with me. Like the Ford CEO agrees with me. I don't know what to say. Like, I guess my opinion is not just based on my own analysis. It's based on what other people who know what they're talking about say. If you're reading this, it means I have been killed, most likely targeted by the Israeli occupation forces. When this all began, I was only 21 years old, a college student with dreams like anyone else. For the past 18 months, I have dedicated every moment of my life to my people. I documented the horrors in northern Gaza minute by minute, determined to show the world the truth they tried to bury. I slept on pavements, in schools, and tents, anywhere I could. Each day was a battle for survival. I endured hunger for months, yet I never left my people's side. By God, I fulfilled my duty as a journalist. I risked everything to report the truth, and now I am finally at rest. Something I haven't known in the past 18 months. I did all this because I believe in the Palestinian cause. I believe this land is ours. It has been the highest honor of my life to die defending it and serving its people. I ask you now, do not stop speaking about Gaza. Do not let the world look away. Keep fighting, telling our stories until Palestine is free. His dreams were to kill look at these fucking freaks. Jesus fucking.
Listen to you can hear like it's like 20 fucking decibels, dude. What are they in a fucking air tunnel?
Just the joke. It's very funny. And so now here he is trying to listen to how he's trying to frame this now.
You know what he probably realized? He can't go. He can't get into Israel. He certainly can't get into fucking Gaza either. I think it's a pretty bad idea to put yourself at the mercy of Israeli border guards by flying to Israel for the off chance that they somehow won't know who you are as like a guy with 1 million followers who's anti-Israel.
Dark ass loser.
Oh my God, how does this guy get on saying this shit?
Ethan and Gila apparently have been talking about like sending me to Gaza.
Okay, like please give me a fucking break, bro.
Okay,
no, but this is what he does with everything.
They have been obsessed with it. Like, they want him to go there because obviously they fucking know what happens to you if you go to Gaza. These people know what happens. If someone somehow was to get into Gaza, they would be the highest chance of dying in the least amount of time in the world. You'd go to Gaza because Israel bombs everything and everyone there. They don't care if you're a foreigner. They don't care if you're Palestinian. All they care is that you're there and they want you dead. So it's a death threat.
With everything. We're joking about how...
To go to Gaza is no different to saying go to Auschwitz in 1944. It's no different to saying get in the oven. That's what they're saying to him. Go and die with the other subhumans. That is what they're saying.
He's a coward. He got all the credit in the world for thinking...
Like he ever had a chance. He's a coward. Doesn't want to get bombed in a precision strike by Israel. I mean, do you?
Thinking of going to Gaza, but then when he found out he couldn't get
seen this yet.
Well, it's new.
Oh my God! Says literal war criminal terrorist Gila Klein, the baby terror.
Oh no, Gila is fixated on Hassan. Comparing terrain and weather conditions, road conditions between here and China, their vehicles aren't up to par. Are you talking EV or internal combustion? I'm saying there's no chance of success for the EV, specifically emission in other similar climates. Teslas don't fare well, nor Rivian. Sorry for the long wait. Not trying to argue. You've been a crucial part of my political wake up. I feel like you're a China simp sometimes. Here's what I would say. China's weather is very similar to the United States. Actually, I would say it might even be harsher. If there's any country in the world that could produce vehicles that will have gain the engineering an iteration and experience, it's China. They have a Western desert. They have you know, coasts assaulted by typhoons, aka hurricanes. They have cold winters. They have a large country, like for long range driving, similar to the US. There's like no country in the world that's more similar to the United States than China. Like as far as a lot of shit goes, actually. In a just world, China and the United States would probably be the closest allies. But unfortunately, we live in the hell world. So I'm not saying that the electric vehicle has been perfected. But if there's any country that's closer to perfecting the electric vehicle, then it's China over any other country.
Riser Healer Klein.
This happened March 17. It happened 4 days ago.
I was excited he finally remembered my name, but then
she was excited. That's an interesting, man. Her eyes are bright. She's got a big smile. She's excited. I see a little bit of a blush. Can you guys see it? A little bit of a blush right there. Do you see it? She's swooning for Hassan. Uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable.
Did he forget?
Wow.
What's her name?
He never says my name.
He should just call you the terrorist wife. That's what you are.
But
yeah, he doesn't like to.
That's the most excited she's ever been in her life. Hassan Piker said my name.
See, it's not just me. It's not just me. Bad and Banana season 2. It's uncomfortable. Like, I'm actually uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable right now. Ugh.
You said you'd pay for it last time we were talking about it.
Who said they pay for it?
AB is such a ugh. Like, AB is mad at me, and he's mad at Hassan, and he's mad at Denims, because he's really mad at himself. And, like, I get it. I wouldn't want to give up my easy fucking job where I didn't have to do shit and was responsible for nothing. Like, I get it. Like, me, I have my own show. This is something that AB doesn't understand. Like, I will live or die based on how I perform, and whether you guys support me or not. I'm completely responsible for myself. I have no safety net. I don't have a boss. I don't have a bunch of other people to take care of me. I'm 100%. I will rise or fall based on whether you guys support my channel or not. You could say I am a radical individualist, small business owner, successful under capitalism. AB isn't that kind of guy. Okay, AB he's a flunky, which is basically somebody who's hired to make somebody else feel important. You know, he is the guy hired to listen to two virulent Zionists justify the genocide of Palestinians, and he has to sit there and take it. He has to sit there and help. Now, I have a question for you, chat. If Mossad was looking at the fight between Ethan Klein and Hassanabi, who do you think Mossad would side with? And I think that's pretty much, you're on the side of Mossad, AB. You're on the side of the IDF. I don't care what your personal opinions are. I'm talking about the work you do day in, day out for a living. You are, and this is no exaggeration, literally selling out your own people. That's sad. Me personally, I couldn't do it. I would rather move in with a family member and get a minimum wage job than a Rolex to fight for Mossad. I would literally rather like lose everything than be a little pissant defender of the genocide. And I'm just a white guy from Pennsylvania. I mean, my God. He was the head of the Arab Union at his school and had to fight Islamophobia, and now he helps produce it. Wild how the world turns. That's capitalism, baby. If you're willing to sell it, capitalism will buy it. That's sad. It's very funny because people sometimes attack me. They're like, Mike used to be a conservative and he's grifting the left. And it's like, motherfucker, if I was a grifter, I would be working for the Democrats right now in Pennsylvania. Right now. I would be part of some disgusting machine right now. The reason why I'm here is because I didn't sell out. I'm not somebody who was making fart jokes in Denny's, or being a failed semi-pro StarCraft streamer who fell ass backwards into fucking politics. I was in it, and I decided to go with the Bernie Sanders movement and the left. And I said no. I said no to the sellout offers that I was given. I pissed off the people that have power. I've already been offered anything. There's no so like I have these positions, and it's harder for me because of the positions I have, not easier. I'm not a red diaper baby. I wasn't raised by socialists. I had to come to the positions I have on my own, which is part of why I'm successful, because I understand how regular people think, and I understand my own journey, and I know what arguments made sense to me and what changed me, what experiences changed my worldview, how I transitioned from being a philosophically interested kid to an actual political actor. And the fact that AB is participating in this stalking of Hassan, and I don't understand, and me as well, right? And the character assassination of me, the character assassination of Denims, the character assassination of Frogan, the character assassination of a bunch of other innocent people. And here's the thing that really disgusts me. And this is the thing, and this is why I don't like him. And I'm going to be honest with him. If AB had just reached out and said, I can't do this anymore, but I need your help to make my own show, do you know how much love he would have gotten? Do you know how many people would have rushed to support him? You know how many people would have boosted him up and build him a show that probably would make him even more money than he's making now? But instead of doing that, he stuck his dagger at all of our backs. He stuck a dagger at our backs for the safe choice of remaining Ethan Klein's sidekick. Actually, he's not even the sidekick. He's like the sidekick of the sidekick. Really makes me sad, dude. And at this point, is it even viable? I mean, if AB tomorrow quit on stream and then apologize to everybody, including me, then maybe I'd change my mind. But like, Israel has restarted their genocide. You have the Nelk boys coming on the show to promote. You're promoting pro-Trump people left and right. You're trying to help the targeting of Palestinian advocates all over the country. People are being kidnapped by ICE, who are lawful permanent residents, to be deported. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? By the way, chat, if you enjoy the stream, please consider supporting it by subscribing. And we have a hype trade going on right now. It's the only way we could survive here. We got 3 seconds left. Fuck. Oh, $8! Oh my God, saved my bucks. Tier 1 for 22 months with 1 second left. Saved the fucking hype trade. Chat, the only way we could survive is if you support it. We don't have ads anymore on this stream. Not for nothing, but at times AB corrects a narrative when Ethan goes too hard for Israel, makes for some pushback in a large progressive audience. Does that count? No. No, it doesn't. Because when he's actually helping Ethan. Don't you understand that? When he prevents Ethan from saying something wholly wrong, he's actually protecting Ethan. Because if Ethan was out there saying lies and shit that was easily debunkable, it would make the show even more discreditable. He's protecting H3 to protect himself. And he lets a lot of other shit go. So the fact that he occasionally corrects 1 or 2 things, it doesn't matter. It's what side are you on? Are you on the side of the Palestinian people? Are you on the side of the people that are fighting for Palestinian liberation? Or are you on the side of the pro-genocide Zionists? And he's firmly on their side. Whether he likes that or not, that's the truth.
You're believing that Israel is targeting babies intentionally, which is not correct. There should be a death sentence to be killed off in war if you hold a gun. Even if you are a 16-year-old and under UN, whatever it is called, a child, a 17-year-old who holds a grenade.
I'm going to play golf in Gaza, whether you like it or not.
If you're believing that Israel is targeting.
Well, he is streaming on Twitch. This AB, no one watches him. I mean, why would anybody watch him now? Like, why would we watch him? Ethan Klein fans? There's no Ethan Klein fans that like legitimately are going to come on Twitch. It's a dead fucking end. Ethan Klein's like, you know, streams get 100 viewers. Like, of course not. It's not going to work. Ow.
I think he's referring to last.
He said it as well. They both made this same idiotic talking point. That's incredible.
Last time you were saying you would even pay for it to prove that he's lying. You pay for his trip.
I don't think. Yeah.
Ken, thank you for the 5 gifted. Berkeley Power Slippers, thanks for the 10. Black Kusuku, thank you for the 5. Chief Supreme, thanks for the tier 2. Thank you, everybody. No Such Tim for the 5. Let's see here. I'm thanking all the group gifties. My Ruby Pearl, DUJ21, thank you for the 5. And if I missed you, I really do appreciate you. Empty episode 0 rated, and I didn't thank them. Thank you, episode 0, for the raid.
Yeah, I would. First of all, I would. I don't think that's in
relation to Muda, because that's what he said.
Muda said that, yeah. But anyway, the money doesn't matter. Obviously, he's fucking rich. He could afford to go there if he wanted. But the point is, he's like, they couldn't offer me security assurances, so I'm not going. It's like,
Everyone here is just missing the forest for the fucking trees. You couldn't get in the first place. You couldn't get into Israel, which is a prerequisite for getting into the West Bank or Gaza. And then they certainly wouldn't fucking let you into either of those places. You wouldn't even get past the first hurdle. No one is even fucking bringing that up. But obviously, if he somehow got into Gaza, yes, he would get fucking bombed and killed by Israel. Israel does precision strikes on journalists fucking constantly, which they deny here as well. They do precision strikes on Palestinians who send mean things in English about Israel on social media as well. They literally target them in their house. Like, I think in this, they talk about, like, Israel doesn't do that to journalists.
Made a joke about it.
Lots of
like, I've talked to Palestinian journalists, and they've like wanted me to come out.
Really? Wow. Oh my God.
And
that's your reaction to that?
I mean,
obviously they want people to come, but they can't.
Security assurances against Israel, obviously.
Well, bro, it's not like Israel
that is worried.
Look, it's not like Israel's going to do a precision strike on Hassan. They don't fucking. But it is dangerous. It's a war zone.
Israel does precision strikes on people, like, for basically anything. Israel, for example, they have a population registry. They know where everyone lives, or at least where they lived before they destroyed their house. They did a precision strike on the family home, for example, of Refat Al-Arir, who was a Palestinian poet slash basically guy who spammed about how Israel is bad on social media during the genocide. They knew where he lived. They targeted his house because he was posting tweets about Gaza, about what was happening in Gaza from Gaza. And he was literally deliberately targeted in his house. This is not one occurrence. They precisely target journalists. Gaza is like so impossibly dangerous for journalists compared to anywhere else in the world that like more journalists have been killed there than have been killed in like 20 years of the Mexican drug war. It is completely unprecedented. They are very specifically targeted for their journalism. This is also not counting things like social media influencers, many of whom have been precisely targeted in their family homes. They are tracked, they are killed, they are specifically killed when their family is there with them. To say that like they wouldn't target a foreigner, Israel does very much target anyone in Gaza who they think they can reasonably kill. Because they never face any consequences for that, and they know it. They would 100% assassinate like a foreign anti-Israel journalist if they thought they could get away with it. And Gaza is the one.
And they just did. They just killed a friend of Hassan's. Like a 21-year-old guy who had nothing to do with Hamas was just murdered by Israel.
Where they're most likely to get away with it.
Like, I agree, it's dangerous.
It's a war zone.
It's dangerous because it's a war zone, says here Klein, the Raider Ramallah terrorist war criminal.
But what?
He was
It's just a war zone, not because they target journalists, not because they massacre children.
Anti-Semite of the year, they may.
Nah,
I don't think you guys understand Israel. It doesn't work like that.
Israel doesn't work like that. Why not? Because the fucking
Israeli strike on Rafat al-Arir apparently deliberate. This is from Euromed Monitor, a European human rights organization. The Israeli airstrike that killed Professor Rafat was apparently deliberate. The apartment where Rafat and his family were sheltered was surgically bombed out of the entire building where it's located. This came after weeks of death threats that Rafat received online and by phone from Israeli accounts. We call for an immediate investigation to his apparently deliberate and targeted killing of a prominent academic, writer, poet, and activist. Rafat was killed in his sister's home, along with his brother, one of his children, his sister, and 3 of her children, and a neighbor. His brother's wife and 2 other children were wounded. The airstrike surgically targeted the apartment on the 2nd floor where Rafat was in a 3-story building, and not the entire building. Included the apartment was the target and not possible collateral damage. A close friend of Rafat's told Euromed Monitor that he received an anonymous phone call from someone who identified himself as an Israeli officer and threatened Rafat, and that they precisely knew the school where he was located, were about to get his location with the advancement of Israeli ground troops. But the credibility of the threat itself is unclear. It contributed to prompting Rafat to move back to his sister's apartment, believing it was more concealed than the open and overcrowded school where it would have been difficult to hide. In 2014, Israel bombed Rafat's home and killed over 30 of his and his wife's families. I mean, like, this is just the typical, this is the shit. Again, Gila Klein doesn't consider Palestinians to be a human being. So she just blatantly lies about, oh yeah, they don't do that, when they provably do.
Genocidal Zionist terrorist said so. Well, that's a good source. I believe that.
It's not. But regardless, I agree it's dangerous, right?
Yeah.
It's dangerous in a war zone.
It's just dangerous in a war zone. I mean, statistically, that is proven wrong, okay? Let's look, for example, how many journalists died in the entire Iraq War? 282 journalists have been killed in Iraq in general in 20 years. In Gaza, 150 journalists were killed in less than a year. This is like by far the deadliest period of, and this is only journalists again. It doesn't count people like Refat Al-Arif. It doesn't count like the social media influencers who they've also targeted. It doesn't count the foreign aid workers who they've also targeted, obviously before they can get out and talk about what they saw. So there are many reasons why someone cannot simply go to Gaza, even if they did want to go there, even if they did want to take the immense risk of doing so. Reason one, Israel doesn't fucking let you into Israel in the first place, and in order to get into Gaza or the West Bank, you have to go through Israel because Israel occupies Gaza and the West Bank. They're completely under Israeli control. Obviously. What else? If you somehow did manage to get into Gaza, you would be fucking killed. More than likely, you would just be fucking killed. Obviously, Israel carpet bombs the entire place. They're trying to eliminate the Palestinian people of Gaza. So yeah, you fucking go there, you probably get killed. Telling fucking someone to go to Gaza is a death threat. It's like saying get in the oven. And these guys are just saying it openly. But again, that's besides the point, because the idea that you could even somehow get into Israel, let alone Gaza, is in the first place impossibly naive, because Israel declines entry for political reasons to anyone who is even mildly known, slightly known. Like if you have 500 fucking followers on an anti-Zionist TikTok, you're not getting into Israel, let alone fucking Hassan. These people are disgusting and they need to be banned from YouTube immediately.
Okay, Gweek Hypers. Let me see this guy. What is his name? Gweek Hypers? Okay, this guy is a genocidal Zionist, has shown up. How is telling him to go to Gaza hypocritical? Anti-Semitic leftists tell me go back to Poland for being Jewish all the time. You're an Israeli? Well, personally, I don't think that Israelis should be forced to return to the countries that they left. Right? I think they should have the right. I think they should have the right to return if they were forced out of those countries, but I don't think they should be forced to return. However, they don't get to keep the land and homes that they stole from other people. Fair deal? This guy is at least 3 times more anti-Semitic than the average neo. Oh, wow, guys. I guess the argument is, look at the level of argumentation these people do. I called you anti-Semitic. I win. Adabadada advocates for existing anti-Semites that materially hurt Jews like Hamas and Rashida Tlaib. Meanwhile, the Nazi military doesn't exist anymore. They are more anti-Semitic now. And I think this is actually, thank you for revealing the truth, which is you don't give a shit about Nazis. You don't care about Nazism. You don't really care about anti-Semitism. You're more focused on your genocidal apartheid state. So if allying yourself with Germany helps your genocidal apartheid state do ethnic cleansing, then you'll do it because you don't care about the millions of people that were killed in the Holocaust. So I don't want to hear you ever complain about the Holocaust as an excuse to do your crimes anymore because you just admitted you don't care. How is he betraying his people by supporting the IDF? That would be supporting his people. The racism drips. Okay, whatever. Jew-hating Hamas Nazi. Why are you saying Nazi? You said you didn't care. You just said you didn't care. Israel is a decolonization movement, and leftists only don't support it because they are vile Jew haters. Zionism is an ethno-cultural nationalist movement that emerged in Europe in the late 19th century and aimed to establish a national home for the Jewish people pursued through the colonization of Palestine. Wait, you colonized to decolonize, and it came from Europe. Well, Theodor Herzl must have been a very, very, very observant Jew, devoted to the propagation of the Jewish-German liberal assimilationist doctrine. I achieved a freer attitude toward anti-Semitism. I believe I recognize the emptiness and futility of trying to combat anti-Semitism. Yeah. Leftists have become bigger existential threats to Jews than literal Nazis. You are the new Nazis. Guys, you're an existential threat when you say when Israel does not deserve my tax dollars. I say Israel doesn't deserve my tax dollars. I guess that makes me an existential threat. All I could say is, and by the way, I'm not even going to ban you. I'm just going to tell you something that's very funny. Israel's days are numbered. Israel's days are numbered. It doesn't matter what you do. Eventually, America will just tire of giving Israel money, just like we did to the South Vietnamese, just like we've done when we abandoned Ukraine, just like when we abandoned the Kurds. Eventually, Israel's going to get abandoned too. You know it. I know it.
Mike from PA, who is as hideous on the inside as he is on the outside, which is rare. Mike from PA, enemy of the show, this dick-riding communist, Bad Empanada, Mike from PA, and Frogan. Fierce warriors. People like all these fucking journalists, Mike from PA, all these people, they are fucking co-signing, they are participating, and they are reading this type of deranged, inhuman cruelty. She's hyping up Mike from PA, who is literally the picture of like, oh, this man is, he is not a healthy man. I'm calling out supporters of snark, such as Mike from PA and all these leftist commentators who think they can get one up on me by sicking and participating and legitimizing the most crazed psychopaths on the internet.
People tend to hate people who are successful. No, I don't think that's true. I don't think success is what makes people hate you. I think it's success in spite of your efforts. You know what I mean? Like when someone succeeds and you don't want them to succeed, that causes bitterness. That causes you to be a hater. Right? Like if I was failing, you think Ethan Klein would be bringing up 10-year-old articles to try to say that I did X, Y, and Z bad thing? If I wasn't one of the more successful political streamers on Twitch, do you think any of these people would give a fuck about me or bother insulting me?
I mean, every time I look, he has between 7,000 and 8,000 paying members, which is pretty disturbing, but it is what it is.
They would ignore me. I wouldn't matter. But the fact that, you know, we find them stupid and we're not intimidated and we're not scared and we're living our best lives, that's what they're mad about. H3, when they found out your average viewership?
3.8K average.
How much?
Right now, the past 30 days, 3.8.
Okay.
Wild.
Yeah, I know.
Like
the fact that they're able to succeed is a condemnation of the entire movement.
Wow, they know my stats better than I do. Speaking of which, chat, we currently have 6,514 members, not 7,000. And so Ethan Klein, if you don't want Ethan Klein to feel good about himself, you need to gift me 100 subs right now. By the way, we broke 90,000 followers this stream. Hey, look at that. 90,035 followers on Twitch. Look at that. Wow. Thank you, Ethan Klein. You are my best friend. You are the stream grower. You are the legend. I feel like we've really milked the shit out of Ethan Klein. Like, at a certain point, you could only milk it so much, right? It's like, thank you, Ethan Klein. Thank you so much for the gifted subs, by the way, guys. Appreciate you. That's so funny. Anyway, guys, you should follow Clips from PA. And I'm going to start. Oh, that reminds me, chat. Clips from PA, friend of the show. Reach out to me. I kind of think I want you to start, you and I to start collaborating on different stuff that I do. And I want criticism. I want constructive criticism to make my stream better. So I want people that I actually respect doing it, not random people. But the udder is dry. I don't think it's dry. It's just, I think we've really milked the fuck out of them. Zoran dropped.
Thank you to everyone who is here to honor the lives of the 15,000 New Yorkers who lost their lives. And as we make it clear that these are not just numbers, these are not just names, these are New Yorkers in each of whom was an entire universe.
Pretty sure they're the editor server. Nice.
The page back to March 25th of 2020. But we can ask ourselves, how can these families heal? How can we move forward? How can we ensure that these mistakes are not repeated? And it always brings us back to the importance of honesty, of accountability, and of an apology. These are the basic requirements of leadership. And yet, somehow, for our former governor, they are things beyond that which he is willing to do. And as we think about these New Yorkers, and as we think about the prospect of another pandemic in the future, these qualities of leadership become all the more important. And as has been said by the Arbini family, this is not about politics. This is about leadership. This is about New York City. This is about ensuring we can honor those that we have
thank you for the
lost
10.
and protect those that we still have. And yet, the choice that is being given to New Yorkers is still including a man, Andrew Cuomo, for whom himself and his mythology is more important than anything these families are asking. And I call on our former governor to answer the calls of these families, to apologize for the mistakes that he made in the pandemic, and to show himself worthy of the same accountability that we want every single leader to be open to.
He's such a king.
Thank you.
He's such a king. Every criticism of Mandami makes me like him more. Socialist Zohran Mandami has accused Israel of genocide, supports the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel, and said he would arrest Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he came to New York City. This is a leftist. That's what a leftist sounds like. That's what we should be supporting. Stop talking about Tim Walz. Stop talking about Kamala Harris. This is what a left-winger sounds. It's not Andy Bashir. It's milquetoast bullshit as he gets his veto overridden. This is what a leftist sounds like. For the love of God, can you stop supporting milquetoast libs when you have people like this who are already politicians, who have already shown they can win, that are now the top fundraiser in the New York City mayor's race? Get off your fucking ass and join in. Am I wearing a win shirt? Yeah. I got this t-shirt. It's like a t-shirt I got. And I stayed in Vegas for a few days and I got this t-shirt and I never gambled. I was just like going to restaurants and going to shows and shit. Like I never gambled. I think I gambled one day, like when we were leaving. They did like after we packed to go to the hotel, like to go to the airport. So that's where I got the shirt. This is also a sign that I need to do laundry.
Things you told me about is what you
It's
call
insane.
magic money computers at the Treasury.
Well,
So tell us about it, because I never heard of that until you brought that up.
Okay, so you may think that that the government computers like all talk to each other, they synchronize, they add up what funds are going somewhere, and it's it's coherent. That the there's and that the numbers, for example, that you're presented as a senator, are actually the real numbers.
One would think.
One would think. They're not.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they're not totally wrong, but they're probably off by 5% or 10% in some cases. So I call a magic money computer any computer which can just make money out of thin air. That's magic money.
So how does that work?
It just issues payments.
And you said there's something like 11 of these computers at Treasury that are sending out trillions in payments?
They're mostly at Treasury. Some are, but there's some at HHS, some at, there's one or two at State, there's some at DOD. I think we found now 14 magic money computers.
14, okay.
They just send money out of nothing.
MMT is proven correct. Thank you, Elon Musk, for proving MMT is correct. Yeah, of course. That's how it's always worked. Hey, Eden, what's up? By the way, chat. Toasty, you want to publish a short? You want to post a short? Pick your favorite short and we'll post it and then link it to me. We're going to restart our YouTube efforts, chat. And I'm going to start doing TikTok. It's actually happening. It's actually happening. Not just like me going, I should do that. No, it's actually going to happen. If people have ideas of how Bernie Sanders can be helpful in building a real working class movement in this country, I welcome your ideas. Email me. I should honestly do it. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And setting up the camera. I'm looking at lenses right now. This is the month where we do it. We're getting lenses. We're going to update our background so it doesn't look so shit. We're going to update the whole... Everything is going to be flowing again. I might get myself some in-ear monitors instead of this hideous headset, which I don't think looks very good personally. Show us the tabs or it's a lie. So this is the month. We're also, as far as my political organizing, I'm in touch with a lot of big shots in LA. And so we're going to be doing IRL shit in LA that you all could participate in. Perhaps more places, but we're going to start there. We are stepping ourselves up. The best is yet to come. I was sent this encouragement, and so I decided it was time to strike.
Hey Mike, it's Kimberly Guilfoyle here, and your good friend Elsie gave me a little bit of info, so I know you're a big streamer and you're out there fighting the good fight, battling back against the liberals. I know it is not easy, no easy day indeed, but keep up with the good work. We need patriots like you out there fighting, and if you set up your mic, the best is yet to come.
There you go. There you go. The best is yet to come, folks. The best. I'm Clips from PA. I'm Mike from PA Clips on TikTok. Is that I think that's a different than Clips from PA. We're getting the Mike from PA industrial clips context to work. Okay, that's not a real. You got to give me the link, man. You got to give me the actual link. Just don't type out who you are. But Bernie Sanders has an idea for the left. Don't run as Democrats. More progressives should join him in running as independents. Please have it. Let the interview just be them talking and not an AI voice, please.
This article is by Reed J. Epstein and read by an automated voice. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont has a message for his fellow progressives. Why don't you shed the
Democratic label and run as an independent the way he does? Okay, I think the one thing is, maybe I'm too autistic for this, but I think backing music always distracts me. The problem with running as an independent is nobody knows who the fuck you are. Or it doesn't mean it can't be done. It's just even harder than running as a member of a party, which is why a new clips from PA. I'm very excited. The music isn't loud enough. I can hear you speak. Yeah, this is why you won't pop off a TikTok, Mike. You got to use the trendy, weird TikTok sounds. I'm excited, but this is a really good clip. Okay, a couple things here. Good instincts. This is a good clip. It is an important point. The other thing is, I need to speak in more concise and clippable ways. That was a joke. But you need to make sure that your points are being made. There was a really good clip of mine that somebody posted on Twitter that I was like, damn, this is actually a good clip. Fuck. Shit. I tweet too much. I'll never find it. Fuck. Look how many tweets this is. Yeah. Yeah. Did I go past it? Wait, why did this post get deleted? Who deleted this post? What the fuck? All right, hold on. I can't find it. Fuck. There was a really good clip of me. Shit. And I was like, damn, I need to make this. So I retweeted it. I was like, I've saved this. I'll definitely get this again. And now I can't find it.
This is creepily similar to what I do in nightclubs too. So of course.
This is the clip you picked. This is the one. This is the one.
I can lick it, I can ride it while you slipping.
This man was a nightclub promoter.
And sliding, I can do all them little tricks and keep the.
I don't want you to ever tell me that pretty privilege isn't real. I don't ever want to hear it again. Somebody involved with the music industry saw this man and said, you need to be our representative. Also, the nightclub industry. Same. Hassan confirmed white. Hassan confirmed white. If you ever hear him trying to pretend that he ain't white as fuck, you link this immediately. Did a Chinese robotics company just copy Hassan's dance moves and then put out this video? It's identical dance moves. They're beating him. This is what I wanted to do when I saw Hassan's dance video. Identical dance video.
This is creepily similar to what I do.
God damn it. Well, I'm posting on TikTok now, I guess. And YouTube. This is on YouTube Shorts. Get in there, hit the like, comment, subscribe. Whenever you see one of my clips, you need to engage. We are going to boost ourselves up. We need to get on multiple platforms. That's what we're doing, chat. We're getting on multiple platforms. In case Hassan and I get banned off Twitch, we need to have our alternative system set up and ready to go. This is my best clip upload, not my most viewed yet, though.
All the patriotic Americans will be thankful, cheering, clapping. When his office blows up.
Are you trying to get me renditioned? By the way, that was a great clip. Great job. Everybody clap for Toasty. Great clip. Great clip. Great short. All right, where were we? Before we went off 8 tangents. Where were we? Nick Mullen and Adam Friedland were on Stabby's World?
To honor the lives of the 15,000 New Yorkers who lost their lives. And as we...
Just come down reunion?
Welcome everybody to Stabby's World. 904-800-STAB. Call in. We'll solve all your problems. Special episode here. I got my old pal Nick Mullen on the couch. Adam Friedland might be here. He's actually in the living room taking a call. Oh shit, Eldest with the big guns right off the top, dude. Eldest.
Our beautiful boys are together again. They're back together again. All right, how's Tesla trade? Tesla had like one of its best days ever today. Look at that, a nice little bounce off of the doldrums. When is the Tesla quarterly report? The next quarterly report is it in a couple weeks in April? I guess that makes sense. They're going to do so many shenanigans to try to push their profit up because they are dying. It's going to be the most fraudulent fucking quarterly report of all time. Wouldn't their full recall of Cybertrucks affect this? Yeah, of course. That's the thing about betting against Elon right now. Elon is going to commit. This is the one reason, like a good reason not to short, is Elon Musk is going to do the most illegal fucking behavior of all time. And he's never going to be held accountable. So you can't trust a goddamn thing he says. And there's a Trump put in the sense that they're going to, if he starts crashing, they're going to bail him the fuck out. I was going to short the next day, shot up like $15. I'm so glad I didn't. Oh yeah, exactly. You have to be very, very careful, chat. Very, very careful. Anytime you short something or you buy options, you got to be very careful. He is going to announce another robo-taxi update with easing of regulations to push it through, and Tesla is going to go up 5%. The robo-taxi shit will never work. Like a lot of, and it came down. Like here's the big opportunity was right after Trump got elected, and it's really come off of that. So right now it's boosting, and it might be another opportunity to short. But I am not giving you any advice. I just think it's incredibly risky, and the company is total bullshit. But that being said, he's involved with politics now, and so they have unlimited money printing machines. Who cares if it doesn't work? Investors and institutions have been buying into Elon pulling out a rabbit from his hat about robo-taxi, and for some reason they love that shit. Yes, you're learning something about being a bear. If you bet against the stock market, that is one of the riskiest things you could do, because prices could remain irrational longer than you remain solvent. So you could be right and lose everything. So it's, that's why I don't recommend people do that kind of shit. Tesla will destroy the American. I mean, yeah, if Tesla crashes, a lot of people are going to lose their shirts. All right, chat.
Goodman.
Let's keep going.
As the Trump administration escalates its attacks on pro-Palestine students and scholars, we turn to the case of Badr Khan Suri. Suri is originally from India, a Georgetown University professor and postdoctoral scholar on religion and peace processes in the Middle East and South Asia. Last Monday evening, he was ambushed by masked federal agents with the Homeland Security Department as he and his family returned to their home in Rosslyn, Virginia, after attending an iftar gathering for Ramadan. Suri was taken into custody without being charged or accused of any crime. He was told the federal government had revoked his visa. Over the next 72 hours, Suri was transferred to multiple immigration detention centers. He's currently jailed at an Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Alexandria, Louisiana, separated from his wife, a U.S. citizen of Palestinian descent, and his 3 children. Suri's arrest came just days after federal agents apprehended Columbia University graduate student Mahmoud Khalil, who's being jailed at a different ICE detention center in Louisiana. Both are being detained under a rarely used provision of the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, which gives the U.S. Secretary of State authority to begin deportation proceedings against any non-citizen deemed a threat to U.S. foreign policy interests, even a green card holder like Mahmoud Khalil is. On Thursday, a federal judge in Virginia temporarily blocked the Trump administration from deporting Suri while he fights his case. DHS has accused Suri of, quote, spreading Hamas propaganda and claimed Suri has, quote, close connections to a known or suspected terrorist without providing any evidence. Suri's legal team says he's being targeted for his political views and free speech and pointed to an aggressive doxing and smearing campaign by pro-Israel groups targeting Suri's wife, Mafi Salah. She's a graduate student at Georgetown and the daughter of Ahmed Youssef, a former political advisor to Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh, who was assassinated by Israel in Iran last year. Salah previously worked in a civilian role at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Gaza and met Suri after he joined a humanitarian convoy to the besieged territory in 2011. The couple then lived in New Delhi. Prior to Suri's arrest, pro-Israel groups published a series of articles and video clips targeting Salah and her family. One video clip was shared last month on the official X account of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C., a photo of Salah and information about her, including her school and former employer, is also featured on an anonymously run website. Salah's father, Ahmed Yusuf lives in Gaza and left his position in the Hamas government more than a decade ago, becoming a frequent writer and commentator on Hamas for publications like the New York Times. He recently told the Times Suri, his son-in-law, wasn't involved in any political activism on behalf of Hamas. For more, we go to Washington, D.C., where we're joined by Nader Hashemi, a professor of Middle East and Islamic politics at Georgetown University, the director of the center where Badr Khan Suri was hired as a postdoctoral fellow, Georgetown Center for Muslim-Christian Understanding. Professor Hashemi, welcome to Democracy Now! Can you explain what's going on with Suri right now?
Well, it's a very similar case to Mahmoud Khalil. One of the differences is that Suri, in contrast to Khalil, was not a political activist. He was just a very serious young academic focusing on his teaching and his research. I think your description in the introduction provided a good background. He's currently in detention, we believe, in Louisiana. He has a court date in May. And of course, his family is completely devastated, and he himself is completely bewildered because this is a young man from India, who doesn't know anything about the politics of Israel-Palestine, who Campus Watch is, what the Canary Mission is all about, why he was even targeted. So this came as a shock to him, his colleagues at Georgetown, and of course his family as well.
So explain exactly what happened. We've actually seen the video of Mahmoud Khalil, not to be confused with Suri. He's the former Columbia graduate student. He and his wife, Dr. Abdullah, were also coming home from iftar, and they were confronted by men in plain clothes who didn't have a warrant and unmarked car, and told to go with them. He ended up in Jena, Louisiana. Explain what happened to Badr Khan Suri.
So last Monday, exactly a week ago, in the afternoon, some of the staff that work at my center noticed some suspicious men hanging outside. They were clearly out of place. We now believe these were federal agents trying to arrest Badr Khan Suri outside of his classroom. For some reason, they weren't able to apprehend him on campus. But roughly around 8 o'clock last Monday, as he was returning home after he broke his fast, agents arrested him. They were masked. There was an incident outside of his home. His one of his children witnessed the arrest, and then they told him your visa had been revoked and we're going to deport you. And then he was whisked off to a detention facility, I think originally in Alexandria, Virginia, and then he was sent to Louisiana, I believe, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, we talked about that, Banana Grabber. Florida man arrested after driving car into protesters at Tesla dealership.
President Trump Friday calling it terrorism. ABC's Morgan Norwood has the latest. Morgan, good morning.
Hey, good morning to you. This morning, the FBI is also...
Is this the only example, the one Tesla dealership where like 2 cars got destroyed? Is that the only example of this supposed like
also out with a new public service announcement warning of these recent incidents at Tesla dealerships and on the cars itself, urging the public to look out for suspicious activity. Also a new warning this morning from President Trump. He's vowing that anyone caught sabotaging a Tesla could face up to 20 years in prison. He's calling them terrorists, those suspects. And then it also echoes what his attorney general described on the attacks, calling them domestic terrorism. 3 people recently charged for allegedly hurling Molotov cocktails. You see it there at Tesla vehicles across 3 different states. And then just yesterday, a Tesla charging station in Fargo set on fire. And authorities say an empty gas can along with wood chips were found nearby. Now, all of this comes as Elon Musk spearheads Trump's push to downsize
even burn down one stall.
The federal government. And it's been...
The co-director of No Other Land got kidnapped by the IOF. Yeah, I saw that. I was looking to see if I could get more verification. Oscar winner Hamdan Mo Balal, has been reportedly assaulted and kidnapped by the IOF. I think he was lynched, is what I was looking. Here he is saluting Kaya. Yeah, I heard about this. Oh, here's the video. Israeli settler terrorists supported by the occupation forces are assaulting Susa, West Bank. Live ammunition fired. Several people reported injured. Co-director of No Other Land, Oscar winner Hamdan Mo Balal, was assaulted and kidnapped by the IOF. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen this story popping up. I haven't been able to confirm it through like a source that I think is Yuval says it as well from 972 magazine. I just retweeted this as well. That's just
been drawing sharp political battle next week in the streets.
Do they have a video about the stupid shit, but not this? He drove his vehicle, jumping the curb onto the sidewalk at a slow rate of speed into a crowd of protesters. Okay, so he didn't hit them hard, but he was like trying to intimidate them.
In the same detention facility where Mahmoud Khalil was being held, and that's the story. And so then immediately there was
Ethan Klein. Is he going to talk about? Remember when Ethan Klein said settlers were valid military targets? Remember that? Remember when Ethan Klein said that, chat?
An attempt to sort of get him a legal representation, to support the family, and then to get university officials to respond appropriately.
Mafez Salah, the wife of Badr Khansuri, wrote in a petition to the Eastern District Court of Virginia, quote, "Our children are in desperate need of their father and miss him dearly. They keep asking about him and when he'll come back. I cannot bring myself to tell them what has really happened to him, although my eldest child understands he's in some kind of trouble. I feel completely unsafe and can't stop looking at the door, terrified that someone else will come and take me and the children away as well," this American citizen said, who is the wife of Professor Suri. Can you respond to what she's saying and then talk about Georgetown's response?
Yeah, so the family here has been devastated. They've been shocked. The children are traumatized. I do believe the target here was not my colleague Badr Khansuri, but it was his wife, who's a Palestinian from Gaza. They couldn't arrest her because she's a U.S. citizen, so they went after a much easier target, her husband, who, of course, has committed no crime. He was just doing his work. He's not a political activist, and I think that's an important part of the story. The other important part of the story here is that the origins of this begins on the right-wing social media sphere, where these extreme pro-Israel fanatics find a target and they start tweeting about it, tagging the Israeli embassy, tagging Marco Rubio, and then within a few days, Rubio sends in the shock troops. That's the background. So the family is traumatized, the children as well. The university at Georgetown, I think, deserves some credit here because they've been privately very supportive but publicly cautious. Everyone is watching what's happening at Columbia University. No one wants to see their university targeted in the same way that Columbia has been targeted. So I would give my employer high marks for trying to navigate this situation and do the right thing. And now there's a lot of student and faculty mobilization on campus trying to provide support, trying to protest what's happening, but also linking this to the ongoing genocide in Gaza. I think this is a important part of the story that we have to get out, that there's an attempt here to silence any and all voices, on campus that are critical of this genocide in Gaza. And of course, against the backdrop of this is this, very deep-rooted anti-Palestinian bigotry that exists at the highest level of the American government, in particular in the Trump administration. Your listeners might recall that during the presidential campaign,
Joe Biden and his Secretary of State were very clearly anti-Palestinian bigots.
On several occasions, Donald Trump used the word Palestinian as a slur to attack his political opponents. And so it's against that backdrop that the U.S. can support an ongoing genocide in Gaza, which has intensified, in the last week. And, the Democratic Party as well is guilty. And there's been very little pushback. So this, targeting of people who are just married to a Palestinian, that's really the crime here that I think that my colleague is being charged with, is that he hasn't done anything wrong, but he's married to a Palestinian, and that, on rare occasions he's tweeted and expressed support for Palestinian suffering and the, national rights of the Palestinians. So he gets picked up because he's an easy target, because he's on a visa, and so he can easily be, deported from this country. I think those are the important elements of this story that, I think people need to understand.
We're about to talk about Columbia University and the agreement it's made with the Trump administration. But before we go, I wanted to read two quotes. One from Joel Hellman, who is Georgetown Dean of the School of Foreign Service, who released a statement on the detention of Badr Suri that reads in part, quote, "During his time on campus, I am not aware Dr. Suri is engaged in any illegal activity, nor has he posed a threat to the security of our campus. As an individual, I'm deeply concerned for the welfare of a member of our community and his family. As dean, I'm deeply troubled by the chilling effects such events could have on freedom of expression on this campus, which is, of course, at the very core of our mission. We expect the legal system will adjudicate this case fairly," he said. This comes as the dean of Georgetown's law school rejected a warning from the acting federal prosecutor in Washington, D.C., who said his office won't consider Georgetown students for jobs, internships, or fellowships until the law school ends diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Acting U.S. Attorney Ed Martin made the threat in an email on March 3rd, writing it's unacceptable that Georgetown law, quote, continues to promote and teach DEI, unquote. Dean William Traynor wrote in response, quote, "Given the First Amendment's protection of a university's freedom to undermine its own curriculum and how to deliver it, the constitutional violation behind this threat is clear, as is the attack on the university's mission as a Jesuit and Catholic institution," unquote. If you can finally, in this last 30 seconds, respond.
Yeah, I'm glad you read those quotes. I think, the Georgetown administration are trying to do the right thing. What's clearly happening here is we have an alliance between these MAGA Republicans and these extreme Israel supporters in this country who are really trying to undermine the basic legal and political architecture of the United States and freedoms that we just took for granted. I never thought in a million years that, what happened at Cornell, what happened at Columbia, and what's happening at Georgetown could happen in the United States. So this is a major assault on, the American Constitution and on the basic idea of an independent university. That's what's at stake here. And so everyone needs to mobilize. Everyone who cares about those values needs to mobilize and push back against this authoritarian juggernaut that's coming to strangle all of us.
Nader Hashemi, professor of Middle East and Islamic politics at Georgetown University, director of the center where Badr Suri was hired as postdoctoral fellow, Georgetown Center for Muslim-Christian Understanding.
All righty, chat. Oh, fuck hell, man. Oh, boy. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me today. Adam Panada can't help himself. He just can't help himself. Be suspicious of those who maintain mainstream status and proximity to mainstream power. Bernie Sanders is mainstream now. Come on. I wish Bernie Sanders was mainstream. I wish Bernie Sanders was mainstream. I wish Bernie Sanders was the person that's in power doing his will. I wish that were the case. All right. That's going to be it for me today, chat. I'm a little bit, long weekend. I honestly come out of my weekends more tired. I appreciate all of you.
Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no rights. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. Listening to Mike from PA unites the world in song. So come come and rally, for this is the time and place. Join the Central Committee and unite the human race. Break down the billionaire system. Bring down the bourgeoisie. To see the end of capitalism, we must set Luigi free. Demand that health care be provided as well as housing and food security.